and flame. For eons the fire giant fell. For eons the gods demanded more until Surtur rose, and the monsters alongside him. Destruction left in their wake. In the heavens, the gods banded together. A monster of their own making may be their undoing. Odin uttered a single word. Ragnarok. The pantheons, separated by belief, now united in cause. The world needs healing. The world needs hope. The world needs her.
That is right, everybody. Welcome to the Smite Season of Hope. I'm Titan Dandy, and I'm joined here by some incredible people. Let's introduce them. Welcome to the show, y'all. We got Ajax and Lermy. How are y'all?
Heyo.
Hello, doing great. Very excited to see what we got cooking today.
Yeah, there's so much that we got cooking. So with the Season of Hope, obviously this is the Season of Hope update show, and we're incredibly pumped to share everything with y'all. I mean, we have a healing rework, we have HUD updates, we have so many balance changes it's hard to quantify in my own head, and so many things. And you know, just to let y'all know, Ishchel, the new god that we've shown y'all, we wanted to share a preview, not coming out till next patch. I wanted to just lead with that, but there are so many things happening here that we're gonna give you a lot. She'll be here very soon, but we got a lot to show you today. But how about we start off with a video that y'all have seen before. Let's get into it.
Monster, have you prepared for judgment unworthy?
These lands are ash and blood. And yet, in destruction, there is beauty. In pain, there is healing. And in darkness, there is hope.
So that is right. Season of Hope, Ishchel, so many things to be excited about, and we want to dive right into it. This is the beginning of a brand new season, so let's get into it. I mean, again, the Season of Hope being here means that we're shifting away from the destruction, the Season of Monsters that we started with in year 10. And I mean, you know, we have a roadmap we can show y'all. We've shared this before. This is an updated version. Obviously, we're in the 2nd to 4 seasons here, and there's a lot to talk about with the kickoff update of the Season of Hope. So like I mentioned at the beginning, the new god's coming out next patch, but that is right around the corner, so you don't have to wait too long. We just couldn't help but show y'all because she is pivotal to the way the Season of Hope is formatting in the lore of Smite. So anyway, I think if y'all are ready, you want to get into the first big change happening with the Season of Hope?
We do.
The HUD change. Let's get into it.
So what we have here is affectionately referred to as the HUD update.
The HUD update,
And this is a
It's here.
complete ground-up reworking, reimagining of Smite's in-game HUD.
It's
so that
big.
includes all art, engineering, and design. And this is
so
including
big.
everything inside of a match. That's going
Yeah.
to include the on-screen HUD elements like your abilities, your items shown, your mini-map, your allies, your enemies, the scoreboard. It's going to include the entire item shop, scoreboard, tab screen, top stats screen or T screen, the death recap screen or Y screen, the ability summary screen or K screen, and of course the HUD editor itself. Just a huge undertaking, something we've been working on in the background for a long time. You know, taking our time, making sure everything's looking good.
Yeah.
Running it by Olympians and pros, doing a lot of testing, and it's finally here to launch in the Season of Hope.
Yeah, I would argue that the only screen we didn't touch was sunscreen because we have been working on this locked inside forever. This is, I mean, our teams have done an incredible job
jokes
with this
today,
change.
y'all. He's got,
I'm
he's
trying.
ready.
I'm trying.
So really what we wanted to do was provide a more modern,
Yeah.
more sleek visual design for Smite's HUD. A lot of people have felt like it felt a little bit dated. Obviously, it's something people are very used to, something people were accustomed to. So anytime there's some changes, there's going to be some getting used to it.
Of course.
We expect that. We wanted to focus specifically on the in-game experience. So that's an important thing for all y'all watching out there. Sometimes when people hear about HUD or UI reworks, they might imagine it involving other parts of the game. So we did not make any changes to the client, as we refer to it. So that is the home screen, play screen, God screens, all of those out-of-game screens. Those weren't part of this update.
Got it.
The goal was specifically to focus on the in-game UI elements.
Yeah, and that we did. There are so many in-game UI elements that have changed that we didn't think we could do justice just talking about it. So we're going to dive in-game and look at some of these right up close and share them with y'all. Let's check it out.
Ooh, look at that.
Already looking pretty.
Important to note that these changes are going to be big changes on console and PC.
And PC, yeah. So now, for the first time ever, maybe both console and PC are shared clients. So that's every bit: editor, the look, the feel. Like, do what you want with it. But let's get into it one at a time. Starting with just talk over what we're seeing here on the screen and what's changed.
Yeah. So first, you can just see the your stats in the bottom left, your items, your gold, your god avatar, your KDA, your experience level, your abilities and health bars, etc. Mini map and the scoreboard. So, not a whole ton of anything super flashy, but you will notice that the art has been redone. There's a lot more, let's say it's a lot more specific in its intention and its design. Old Smite HUD had these really blocky, chunky elements that were built within these really big borders, really thick. These are a lot more sleek and thin, and they're also a little bit more modular. So as you can see, kind of your items and your stats and your gold, those are all individual elements, which you might not notice right here at first or might not matter to you, but when you get into the HUD editor, those become very important because you can now change and edit and relocate those things all individually.
Yeah.
When historically they were all attached together.
Yeah, so you guys that love doing the crazy HUDs, whether that's making your map humongous, changing the opacity of each and every individual element, you can do all of that and more.
Yeah, so I'll be looking forward to some incredible HUD layouts on Twitter, by the way.
So one of the first things, the improved cooldown flow. So if you fire an ability, we have updated the way the abilities will show that they're on cooldown. This was something that was often brought up a lot. People said it was sometimes hard to tell right when abilities were coming on or off cooldown. Now you're going to see the icon being fully grayed out until the very end, and you're also going to see the milliseconds when you get to the last second to give you an extra indicator that is coming off cooldown soon. A lot more extra clarity there. We have some changes to the chat screen and the kill feed, which if our driver spawns a bot and kills, you'll see, or if they type something or use a VGS, we can also see something. So you now will see your god avatar in the chat screen, as well as some other adjustments to the chat sizing, layout, text space, and stuff like that. And we also have a kill feed. So we'll have a different way to show if you're going to get some kills or not. So you get the big pop-up, but if you don't like that big one, you can also use the one in the top left that's smaller.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
And that one will remain a little longer, so when those busy fights are happening and you can't keep track of who's going down, who got what kill, that's all there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look at, so we'll keep moving.
Yeah, keep rolling.
Item shop. Let's open up the item shop.
Oh,
so
back
this
to the
is a
base.
completely new item shop. Obviously, we designed with the current habits in mind. We're trying to design a HUD not just completely new for the sake of being new, but one that has a lot of the same patterns, a lot of the same experiences you're going to have currently, but with just improved art spacing, trying to get more items on screen, easier clarity as to which items you can see and when. We have a lot of features that came into this one. Most important thing to note is console players are now going to see this item store.
Oh,
Yep.
Not
that's
going to
big.
be the old split one.
Yeah.
It will have full console navigation, very similar to what they had before, but instead of those nested rows of cycling items and sometimes like that were different tabs between categories that were a little harder to see, they will now see the full list of categories and the full items in the list. They can just use the D-pad and other shortcuts to navigate them.
Yep.
We now have a dedicated button for purchasing glyphs, so those are called out much more specifically when you click through them. We're not going to go through every single updated feature on the show today. We're just going to look at a couple, but you can see here there's the glyph section and the additional glyph items. And we also have the widely requested new filters such as healing bolstering items, which we'll get to later, and healing reduction filter. So you can just click a single filter to find your anti-heal items without having to memorize where they are.
So good. I've already seen so many things I love. I saw like that side tab being used for consumables. You could like scroll the shop and have consumables on the side. That
You can
so much like that.
multi-filter items, so you can filter by and. So if you want power and attack speed, you can click both of the squares and only see items that have both. We didn't used to have that. Yeah, we have a lot of really cool stuff in the item shop.
Absolutely incredible. So, oh man, I'm excited. Keep going. What else you got to show
So next
us?
is the scoreboard tab screen. This one just mostly an aesthetic and design rework. Looks a little empty here because we don't have a full 10
Yeah.
players in the bot match, but of course you'll see that when that happens. You don't have any items yet, but some other things we have are a new section that shows total kills on objectives such as Gold Fury and Fire Giant kills per team,
Nice.
as well as kill bounty and kill streak call out, so you can quickly see in the tab screen who's going to be worth more when you kill them by seeing their kill streak and that bonus gold that you'll get for killing them. We have a completely redone death recap screen that has a lot more detailed information, which again doesn't get shown super well here in this situation unless we're in a complicated team fight, with lots of different sources coming through. But it is going to show you breakdowns between magical and physical damage by god, how many gods have dealt you damage. It's going to also display what types of CC effects you were hit by on your way to your death to help give you some additional information about why you died or who killed you. It's going to have individual scrolling sections per god. So when you see this, you can see killed by Anubis. That's going to have their own gods. They're going to be in vertical columns across the number of different gods that hit you. And if it hits you with a bunch of different stuff, you'll be able to actually scroll. You can see that Mummify has the stun call out there. A lot of cool new features on this.
Yeah,
one.
wow.
And you can see the individual ability that kills you by that sword
I was about to say, yeah, the sword shows you what ability. That's
and you
incredible.
can also see the breakdown between magical and physical and true damage as well. You see that total damage bar would be broken down by those individual damage types as well.
Right.
And it's got a lot of information to tell you exactly what killed you.
We also have the T-screen, mostly just an aesthetic and design update, mostly functionally the same. We have the ability screen, a similar kind of story there. There are a couple little features here for gods with really longer abilities. There will be scrolling on the screen, so you can make sure you can scroll. They don't get cut off by the text there.
Yeah.
There's been some just general organization and display changes. And of course, though, the most important and most exciting for most people here at the very end, the HUD editor, which we won't spend too much time editing the HUD in this demo here, but the HUD editor is now going to be fully supported on console. You'll be able to make every single type of change and number of changes that the PC players can use. You'll be able to better preview your changes without exiting the HUD element. A lot more of these HUD elements have been split into more modular assets so they can be individually resized and editable. We also have a couple special extra options nested in a couple of these, like health bars. Let's see. Changing things to be able to be vertical versus horizontal. A lot of stuff you'll be able to play in there. Look, you can split out consumables versus relics at different locations. A lot of different cool stuff in the HUD editor. But I know most people are out there cheering for console, so we have wanted this for a long time too. So very glad to finally deliver it. Final note about the HUD update is just that HUD skins are going to be temporarily disabled. You will still have them. You'll be able to see them in your loadout. You'll be able to see your ownership of them, but there will be a warning message there to notify you that if you equip a HUD skin, it's not going to actually change the art of your HUD. For now, all HUD skin owners are going to retain the ownership of those items, and there are going to be HUD skins. We're going to make a demonic Anubis skin for this HUD. Those are just going to be coming in future updates. So we'll be, keep an eye on the upcoming patch notes to tell you which HUD skins will be ready to use again. And this also means that we now have the possibility to create new HUD skins.
That's exciting.
For a very long time.
Yeah, definitely know that.
We didn't want to make new HUD skins because we're currently reworking the HUD, so it didn't really make a lot of sense to rework something we're just going to have to rework again.
Yeah.
But now that we have it here, we're going to get through the backlog of those HUD skins, and then hopefully within a few months here, we'll have some new HUD skins available to be unlocked to purchase.
Yay.
Yeah, so the first big update we're happy to share with y'all, again, like we've talked about it, this is something that we've heard y'all, the community, reach out for, and we've been working on it for a long time. It turns out Rome was not built in a day, and neither was our new HUD. But it looks incredible. It's extremely modular. It's for our console homies too, because we wanted to make sure that they had the exact same experience shared between us. There's just so much good. So really excited about it. And we're going to move forward now because there's still so much more to talk about with the Season of Hope, starting with a new battle pass called Duality. But let's do something different. It's a new season. We got a new update show format. Let's see the skins for this battle pass right up front.
This piece is unsettling. I think this world needs just a little bit of chaos.
There is power here. So much fear anxiety. It shall be fun.
The forest is in pain. I will never forgive the harm these intruders have caused.
Bow before me, or accept your doom. Your blood will be spilled this day. This chaos is unsettling. This world needs someone to return it to order.
With knowledge and determination, we will succeed.
The forest is in pain. I must heed its call and come to its aid at once.
That's right, what you just saw was the Duality Battlepass, and you saw a lot of skins for it too. As with, moving from the Season of Monsters, Season of Hope, we wanted something that represented that dark and light, the shift, and that's where the Duality Battlepass comes in. There will be a darker and a lighter version of several of these skins, which we're excited for y'all to see. Also, the new video, I hope y'all liked that. We're playing around with the way we share information with y'all and get to showcase stuff to make it even more epic. So make sure that you let us know how you feel about that, because we were really excited about it. I think it looks really cool. So to get into this Battle Pass real quick, Season of Hope is bringing Battle Pass changes. And I'm not just talking about what is in the Battle Pass, although that's a part of it. This new Battle Pass is going to be different in that it is 30 levels longer. Goodbye, 60-level Battle Pass. Hello, 90-level Battle Pass. So that's pretty big. The Battle Pass is going to last a little longer as well. It lasts the duration of the season, so 11 to 14 weeks. We just, it just made sense for us to move it that way. And it's overall bigger. So one thing that does mean is that the Battle Pass will cost 200 more gems to account for the fact that it is so much bigger, but fret not. If you're completing the paid Battle Pass track, if you spend those gems to get the paid Battle Pass, you will also earn 200 more gems for completing the Battle Pass. So we made sure we accounted for that, for all of that. But we just wanted to give y'all more to work towards and a bigger, better Battle Pass. It's kind of hard to say. Say that 7 times fast.
Bigger, better Battle Pass.
Bigger, better. Yeah, so we just saw a lot of skins, and those were pretty incredible. Again, we have the light and the dark themes, which I'm really excited about. I think it's really cool. And, there's just... I like Zeus skins. I like him floating up out of that book.
That Zeus skin is so cool.
It's
Oh, yeah.
super cool. So, really excited about that. And, let's take a closer look at one of those. Let's take a look at that Zeus skin. I want to see the card art for it. Ooh. So this one is Arcane Wizard Zeus, not to be confused with the Arcane Charmer, which is the more light blue, good guy, I guess, version you'd say based on the color scheme. But I love the floating out of the book thing. That is so cool to me.
Yeah, this is such a unique look for Zeus. He's got that kind of ethereal, but not quite human look to him, where he's got, no legs. He doesn't need legs.
No legs.
He's floating.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a completely new theme for Smite, which is always really exciting.
Yeah, and it's one of those where Smite has a lot of content in it, right? We've been around for a long time, so being able to find something, like how our teams continue to work together and find these new things that are completely alien to what we already have in Smite is incredible. It's a feat of magic. So just really, really excited to see this, and really excited for this newer, longer Battle Pass. It is going to be so much fun. You're going to have to work for it too, if you thought you were working for the last one, it's a little longer, so you don't have to work super hard, but it's going to be, make sure to check out the quests, make sure to check out the content available, and the update notes if you want all of the information on that. But there's still more to talk about. Cool Battle Pass, nice. Incredible HUD update, nice. What next? How about a new map? How about we have more revisions for the Season of Hope Conquest map? Let's check it out. That's right. We have reworked the visuals for the Conquest map to reflect the Season of Hope, and we're super excited to talk about it, honestly. As with all of these changes, they're very big, so, I mean, let's get into some of it. AJ, if you want to take over, let's talk about the new Conquest map, the Season of Hope Conquest map.
Yeah, so each season we want to define with some strong changes to Conquest. That's
Yeah.
going to include 3 core pillars, right? One is an art and environment update, which you saw the sunset lighting or sunset lighting,
Yeah.
rainbows, colorful glowing foliage and emissive water across the map.
Yeah.
Just
So pretty.
getting us ready for our next goddess to arrive.
True that.
The other one is pathing changes. So we have core geometry changes to the map. That is, in this map, you're going to see that in the back harpies area mostly, but in the future, who knows what we could be changing. Lane shape, objective areas, you never know. It's always going to be something, though.
Yeah.
And then finally, a new mechanic. So we'll get into all those details in just a minute. First of all, this is kind of a new mechanic, but this is a pretty
Okay.
important change here. We have some changes to the kill bounty system.
Got it.
This is going to be very important and impactful to Conquest, but is actually going to apply to all game modes. So, even if you're not a huge Conquest main, pay attention to this one.
Yeah, this one's for everybody.
We're going to be making some adjustments to make sure that kind of the kill streak and especially shutdown features feel especially good. We've always had some feedback about, when someone really gets ahead with a crazy lead, it's really hard to catch up, or it's really, killing them doesn't really feel that rewarding.
Yeah.
So we are making 2 big changes. The first one is a slight adjustment to the actual tuning already. The game already has a bit of tuning where killing someone lower level than you, lower value in gold, earns you a little less, or killing someone higher gets you a little bit more. We're going to be tuning that slightly. So when someone way ahead kills someone lower, they're going to get even less than they used to. When you kill someone higher, you're going to get a little more than you used to. And then we're also adding an additional bonus for a shutdown bonus. So this is if you kill someone who's on a kill streak. We're now going to have a really cool global accolade for that kill streak. So all 4 teammates will receive assist rewards, even if they're out of range or dead. So this is really to make sure that a shutdown would give a lot to the person who got the kill.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you don't want to be mad at your guardian for kill stealing or something like that. This is going to spread the love around the team a little bit more. When you take out that opponent who's like 10-0, we want to make sure you're rewarded for it and it makes sense and they don't just respawn and come back to do it again, right? So these are, smaller economic changes, but they do have potential to have a big impact on the game.
For sure. Yeah.
And then when we get into Conquest, there's a lot of different goals we had. We've been looking at each of the roles individually, trying to look at what types of changes we want to make. It's hard to make adjustments to anything in a vacuum because all of MOBAs and Smite and Conquest, everything is so interconnected. When you make a change
everything's
here,
part of everything.
it has a chance to affect other changes elsewhere. So one of the biggest changes is with the back harpies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back harpies are now going to respawn twice as fast, but be worth half as much. So this is a proportional shift, right? So it's same net total.
Yeah.
But you have to be there to kill them twice as often. Now, you might be thinking, what's that going to do, AJ? What does that actually mean?
Yeah,
What it
what's
means
the
is your
point?
jungler is going to need to jungle more and won't just be able to sit in lane ganking, right? We wanted to encourage a lot more aggression, a lot more fighting in Season of Monsters.
Yeah.
But we might have overstepped that just a little bit, as often happens when you're dealing with live games.
Oh, of
and
course.
rounds.
Yeah.
And we've heard the feedback about jungler just in my lane 24/7 all the time. So they're going to have to move back to those back harpies more frequently now to keep their farm up. It's not going to take them out of the ganking entirely. We don't want that to happen. We want them still to be doing that, but we don't want it to be as free as it was before.
Okay.
That, of course, has a big ripple effect on a lot of different roles.
Oh,
right?
yeah. It spreads everywhere.
Mid lane is going back to those frequently. Duo lane is doing that as well. Even solo lane rotating over there too. So there is a lot of change that can come from just that one change.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's gonna lead us into there's a couple.
There's so
ways to
many,
look at
right? Yeah.
this.
It's like, where do you branch off of to talk about next?
So along with the back harpy value being so important here, we also that's where a lot of the geometry changes have been made.
Okay.
These geometry changes are subtle. You're not going to see a
Got it.
drastically different path or shape, but you will see some extra paths opened up, some spacing opened up. Really, the goal was to get a shorter path between lanes and other objectives to the back harpy. It's going to be easier to get to.
Okay.
And it opens up a little bit more space to fight just north and south of the Fire Giant and Gold Fury space and around the back harpy space.
Yeah.
To add on to
popular
that,
spots.
Yeah, the roaming harpies are also affected by that as well because as some of you know that play Conquest, the roaming harpies at the current moment take this very long path all the way around that large rock.
Yeah.
So with the changes there, it's going to be a bit of a shorter path, so you're not as punished for being 2 seconds late to the rotation there. You're going to be able to catch them on the way around.
I think we need to take a break just for a second. It seems like Twitch might be having some problems. So, yeah, I guess we'll just hold for a minute. Yeah, see y'all in a second, I guess. Oh, too many
Chat lighting
things.
us up right now.
Season of Hope's got too many things.
Couldn't get in game.
We are live though, so we're just hanging out, I guess. Just
we're in live.
chilling.
I thought we were gonna throw to something.
Yeah, we're throwing to more talk, I guess. So yeah, just struggling. Hope y'all are enjoying it. Again, the update show's kind of new looking. We've definitely been playing for it. So we're gonna take a break and just wait for things to settle out. We'll see y'all in just a minute. All right, well, welcome back. It's me again, and things happen like that, such as the internet. I'm just happy that I'm able to sit here and talk with people instead of back in the old days when we were doing it from home for a while, and I would have just been sitting at my computer like.
That was awkward.
Either way, yeah, it was very awkward. So either way, we're back and ready to continue talking about the Conquest map. And you know what? Now that we're back, let's just keep going. Let's go so far deep. Let's go into the map. We're gonna check out the map
Here we
in
go.
person.
A little rat.
So I was talking a lot about back harpies and the specific economic impacts of them, which I'm sure was very interesting to everybody. But what we're going to see that's even more interesting here is the new mechanic, which we're introducing in place of the Gold Fury side back harpies. They are the Cyclops Thieves. So these are a similar character you might have seen before, like the Cyclops Rogues, but these guys have a special bonus feature.
All right.
And what they do is something we've never really quite done in Smite, and that is that they have a scaling reward based on how ahead or behind your team is.
Okay.
So the Cyclops Thieves, as your opponents get every 1,000 gold ahead in net gold your opponents are, the Cyclops Thieves will not literally steal from them, but they will. The Cyclops Thieves will have an additional treasure chest enemy that spawns in their camp to kill that will give you more gold.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if your team is behind by thousands of gold, you can see up to 5 different chests. It'll be the 3 thieves plus 5 unique chests that each all have to be killed. And these killing these chests has an additional unique effect where it doesn't just give your team some gold, it actually distributes the gold amongst your team, giving the most to the lowest the lowest gold team member.
Okay.
So you kind of get a double split here. If your team is falling behind, you can kill those chests to get a little bit of bonus. And every time anyone who kills those, whoever's behind on your team the most is going to get the most from them.
Try to catch them up a little bit.
Now, this is also a very important thing to keep in mind if you're the winning team.
Yeah.
This is not necessarily an anti-snowball feature. If you keep a close eye on it as the opposition and you go in there and invade and destroy those chests before that other team can. So we do have a little bit of a invade tweak there, which is if enemies kill the chests, they're not going to get any gold or reward for those. It's purely a denial mechanic.
Got it. Okay.
So a very unique thing to replace here in these Gold Fury style or Gold Fury side back harpies. Now, when that mechanic's not in play, like when the match is close for a long time, which happens plenty of times, a lot of our play tests, it stayed very close. You don't see any chest ball. Then it works the same as a back harpy camp. It's the same respawn time, same net value as a back harpy camp.
Okay, got it.
Yep. And the important thing about that is that you're going to have to keep a really close eye on those respawn timers, right? Because knowing the amount of chests that are there is going to be really, really important as well to make sure, you're distributing the wealth, like AJ was talking about. But also that you're planning your invades accordingly. A lot of times we see people try and go for the green buffs or the buffs that are closer to the center. This one's just close enough where you can get to it. You can sneak in there, steal the chests, and run away. But it's going to be a little bit tougher. So you've got to make sure that if you're going to go for it, you've got the whole team on your back.
Yeah,
It'll be a new place to ward. It'll be a new focal point for supports and junglers to pay some extra attention to. Kind of how some additional similar play patterns as we saw maybe from the Obelisk last year. Yeah. This kind of brings up some ways of that, but in a way that we think is a lot more dynamic and balanced.
Yeah, and I love the idea of having another objective for a team that maybe has fallen behind or is bad early game to, if they are, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, getting and making sure that they're catching up, doing everything they can to pull themselves out of the trenches, because I'm one of those people who I fight to the bitter end, and having a way to bring the game back within arm's length.
F7 crew, huh?
Yeah, but awesome. So yeah, and I mean, just beyond all that though, obviously looking at how beautiful this map is, I love all of this, all of the water everywhere, all of the glowing plants and everything, just absolutely beautiful. So before we hop out, is there anything else big that you'd like to call out?
Yeah. Let me just rattle off a couple other changes real quick. We talked a bit about back harpies and jungle and this new mechanic. The other focal points we wanted to adjust was mid lane was also getting a little ahead further than we intended. So the mid harpies that spawn in those two mid camps before Oracles and Pyromancer, those are only going to spawn 2 harpies instead of 3. Okay. Should be a little bit of a experience in gold decrease for mids and also junglers.
Got it.
We're getting very ahead in the whole map right now. Yeah. We're kind of treating carry as like the balanced baseline. They're in the right spot. So we're taking mids and jungles down to their level.
Yeah.
Also bringing up solo. So solo is going to see more value added to that silver camp that they're going to be contesting over.
Okay.
It's going to be worth more golden experience for killing.
Yeah.
As are their blue buff mobs are going to be worth more golden experience for killing. So that's going to make invading even more important if you want to win your solo lane.
Got it.
In general, we wanted to make the solo lane more impactful based on could you win it early, right? So we wanted to make there be more economic impact if you're really outplaying your opposing solo laner. So
if you're
that extra value is going to come into play there, as is some changes to the totem, which is now going to have a larger radius and a higher damage bonus threat buff radius. So especially dangerous to fight around that totem.
Yeah, owning the totem zone, very important.
Yeah, give you some more chances to kill it.
Got it.
Let's see, we have a couple other smaller changes, some tweaks to Fire Giant, changing its respawn time, which I think it was a fun experiment, but we saw some flaws in that, so it's being reverted back to what it was before.
Bringing it back.
Making some adjustments to Gold Fairy and Pyromancer to make them harder to body block or kite in some weird ways, making sure you have to fight them head on.
That's a very important one.
We're going to make Tower Bastions just a little bit tankier, so they don't get cleared quite too soon.
Yeah, grind down right away.
We're going to make Tier 1 towers do more damage to gods.
Yep.
Give you a little bit more of that early game invade and dive protection.
Yeah.
The roaming back harpies, as Lermy called out earlier, those changing in their pathing point. We're also adding a new roaming harpies. That on the Fire Giant side actually roam, and they roam across from order into chaos and back around before. So if you really pay attention and make some close, tight rotations, you can actually steal more from your opponent.
Snipe them from your opponent.
Because they come right to you.
These ones are really fun too because they're also on the duo side, and so they cross paths basically.
Oh yeah, they are on both sides.
Yes.
Sorry.
They cross paths basically going in opposite directions. So there is a time when both harpies will end up right next to that silver camp, or on the other side right next to the gold camp. And if you catch them at the right time, that's a little bit of
It
extra
feels
for
so
you.
good
Yeah.
with the unleashed mechanics and the roaming. It
Oh,
feels
yeah.
so good when you just get to scoop them all up,
Right.
just drag them all to a camp and you clear it all at once. It's great.
Mhm.
And the last change in here, which is really, it's just kind of a god change hidden in the Conquest section,
Yeah.
but we are nerfing the magical basic attack damage from the purple buff. So that's just a mage ADC nerf.
Okay.
So could have thrown that in the gods or item section, but it's really,
Yeah, just
it's a
sprinkle
magical
it in
ADC
here.
nerf, but it had to go in the Conquest section because it made sense. So,
Specifically in Conquest.
yeah, a lot of shifts to each and every role. We're going to see some different changes in the economic impact as well as the map prioritization from each and every role. That's what we want to see from each season this year. It's
Yeah.
We want to
Yep.
make sure that you have different economic things to pay attention to, different objectives to pay attention to, potentially different play styles, different pathing, different priorities.
So many things. Like there are all of these defined updates, and then so many things that touch so many other things because of the essence of MOBAs. It's like we had this big pool of change and just sprinkled in some more change. So absolutely wild. So that was the map change. We've gone over some incredible stuff, but I'm just going to keep saying it. We're not done yet. Season of Hope still has more to offer, starting with an incredible new event coming out with the Season of Hope next week called Hope Reborn. Let's check out the skins from that event.
No more Mrs. Nice Gal. My backup singers always have my, back. Always one step ahead. Showing mercy is for the weak. Come, the jungle awaits. What are the likes of you doing at this classy venue?
This world is home to many species. But I wonder, which of them will make the most delicious meal?
What did the ruthless business person say to the employees? If at first you don't succeed, you're fired!
It's time like these that make you wonder why we still fight. Let's get on with it.
I'd love to have you over for some tea at my cottage. Witches get a bad rep. I'ma change that. Oh, don't worry. My dragons don't bite. Hard.
I'm totes gonna get the most kills in this game. Why would you take me seriously?
The vengeful night, Surtur. This world is forsaken order and abandoned justice. Perhaps it can be salvaged, but only by my hand.
All right, let's see what tricks and trials we can put those adventurers through.
One. Wow, that was a lot. I don't know why I said that way. That was a lot of skins. I'm so excited. Like, I have all this energy that I just can't keep it in. So a lot of cool skins you just saw there from the Hope Reborn event, a huge event with a lot of stuff going on. And I'm excited to talk about it, but I'm also excited to introduce somebody new joining us on this set. We have Clumsy here. So you know him, you love him. And then Lermy, still hanging out, still keeping it cool. We just holding it down. So let's get into the event. The Hope Reborn event is similar to some of the summertime events that we've hosted in the past, in that this is a 3-chapter event spanning several updates. It's a Season of Hope type deal, and it's going to have a lot of incredible cosmetics released throughout that time, as well as the brand new T5 skin, which y'all saw right at the beginning of that, Leading Lady Aphrodite. So a super incredible skin that the team has been just super jazzed to work on. There's so much love went into that. And it's in a theme that we're all really, really proud of, that kind of cartoon style that we've seen in other skins. So just an absolutely incredible Tier 5. So each chest throughout each chapter of this event has chests containing cosmetics for the event, and you can direct buy the cosmetics or roll them from the chest and work towards unlocking that T5 skin as you progress through the event. Purchasing any of the items, whether it's through the rolls or through the buying directly, will help work towards that T5 skin, which again is kind of like the highlight, the peak. It's a really big, awesome thing. So this is what the event's actually going to look like, and you'll be able to see all of the available cosmetics, roll the chest, or purchase them directly as you see fit, completely up to you. and work towards the reward that is the T5 skin. You can also, as it says right there in the bottom, click the Buy All button, and if you do the Buy All option, you will unlock everything through the entire event. So like all of that right there, you'll have all of the available skins delivered to you immediately, right away, including the brand new T5 skin in your pocket as soon as you click Buy All. And then as the other updates come out, you can see there's a scroll bar there because there's a lot more content. As this content comes out in later patches throughout the rest of the Season of Hope, you will also have all of that the moment it releases in the live game. So pretty well worth it. And fun enough, actually, this is, with the way the event works, also a slight bit cheaper than it was in the past. So you'll notice the Buy All option, just a little cheaper. Not in the discounted price as well, but in the total overall price. So you still get the same T5 and a bunch of cool stuff, just a tiny bit cheaper, which is always good, you know?
I mean, those skins are insane.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I was about to say, there's
personally.
Great
so much insanity. Like how cool are all of those? And I love the new videos we have too.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, this event has so much, right? It's got Martikaras's first skin, Surtur's
That's
first
true.
skin, Leading Lady Aphrodite. I mean, what else could you want?
What else could you want? I'd want to look at some of these skins a little closer, actually. And I think one of them that I'd like to look at, and we'll start with the card art, is the Morgan Le Fay skin we saw in there.
Oh,
which some of y'all
she's
might not
so
have
cute.
recognized.
Look at
Yeah.
this.
Damn, look at that. That's so cool.
It's incredible. Like that dragon too. The like it looks like
Little
fall.
dragon friend.
Like those like leaf looking scales.
It's like eating from the picnic basket.
It is.
Hungry.
It's got, like,
She's trying to
mushrooms.
gather some mushrooms, man. She's
That's
just
true, the
trying
mushroom
to
basket.
be her best cottagecore self.
Cottagecore self. That is honestly my vibe. I cannot wait till I'm like, I don't know, 70 and I am living in a cottage eating mushrooms out of a basket. So
With the dragon?
I'll be imagining the dragon. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of jokes there. How about we go in game and check this out in game?
Oh, look at her with the little magic wand sword.
It's so cool.
The magic wand sword. Yeah, that's sweet.
Well, they're gonna run
Was
away
it like a-
forever.
They're gone.
A flower patch that came up underneath that ability. That's super cool.
Also, I know we've already talked about it, but it's also fun seeing all these new skins with the new HUD.
Right?
Oh yeah, true.
Oh,
that's a cute
that
dragon.
came out really well.
Absolutely adorable.
Awesome.
It's crazy seeing the shift too towards more of a lighthearted, like I mean I don't know what her alignment is, but
I mean, she's usually
Oh, that's
pretty
cool. I like
dark,
that.
right? This
Yeah.
is kind of like she's turned cute here.
yeah,
I'm for it.
she has some skins that range from like very angry person to creature of imminent horror, and like shifting into this kind of fall time witch thing is I don't know. I absolutely love it. The colors and everything.
good vibe.
So,
Good vibes.
absolutely incredible. So another skin, because you know I wanted to see this one because I love this one, but could not preview the T5 at least a little bit.
Oh, yeah, of
so
course.
let's check out the card art for Leading Lady Aphrodite.
This is
It's
genuinely
so
Oh my
good.
gosh.
one of my favorite T5s, if not the favorite T5. This just has so much personality, so much character. I mean, playing 5 different characters is certainly a lot for our leading lady here, but she's doing it pretty well.
Oh yeah, she definitely rocks it for sure. And just seeing the whole cast of different characters, like you said, it's the personality that each one of them has, and they're all kind of in their own way very representative of a very popular, I guess, character throughout cartoon history. You know, with the safari, the jewel thief, the showroom singer, the like. I don't know, devil, scary lady. So
The villain.
The
Villain.
villain. Yeah. So an absolutely incredible take, not only on the concept, but for Aphrodite as well, who I don't know, is just a very fun character to play with. So yeah, I think that I think there's a lot of potential here. And you know, before we go in game, I just want to share. I talked a lot with the people who worked on this, and there's a lot of information they shared, such as the sound design is immense. I mean, I asked out and had people tell me that like they sent me 5 paragraphs to talk about worth of audio stuff, and I'm not going to read all that off, at least not now. But so much work went into this, and I think checking it out in game is the only real way to showcase it in all of its glory. So let's get in there.
Look at her.
That's so awesome looking.
You know, this may
Cool
just be
target.
the base of it, right? But I still love this take on Aphrodite. I think it is adorable.
Oh, 100%.
Well, and this is
And
one of
she's
those.
got her like Cupid friends.
Yeah, this is one of those skin concepts that if it was just this, I mean, it would have been a T5
Oh,
probably. Oh,
sweet.
it's so good. But like this concept alone would have made for a great skin, you know? So to see this just in the base, and then the
Costume
switch up.
change. Love that.
Now she's like the showroom singer. And again, it's so cool too because all of these, like each of them, they put a bunch of different work in. This one involves a lot of like jazzy live music feels. There's microphone bumps and a lot of the audio work to emphasize the feeling of a live singer. So like that's part of it that went into this particular version, but there's 5 versions of this skin, which is just, I mean, wild to see.
Yeah, each version has their own little friend as well. So that one was another singer. This one is our Jewel Thief as well, which has some really fun animations on it, especially for that 3. But there's her little
the like logo,
mouse signal,
yeah,
if you will.
That's so cool. I mean, again, it's cool how each of these,
There
like
they
you said,
are.
they have their
Look at
little
each
bird
of them.
friends. Yeah, oh my gosh, it's
adorable.
And she's doing the like spy action movie thing where they jump through the lasers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember seeing that right there.
It's so cool. Like you said, they all just have such a unique personality.
Oh,
This one I think is my favorite.
Ooh.
Of course.
If I could
oh,
stay in
look how
this form forever, I would.
It's
so
just like a
sick.
smile.
Also, just like the neon effects kind of going through there. It's
Yeah,
so cool.
like that like pink and teal, or I don't know what you call. Oh wow, that was awesome.
Neon graffiti. That's what I'm
Yeah.
And little skull friends. I mean,
man,
yep,
that's
we're
so
here
pretty.
for that. We are here for that.
Yeah, like the maniacal noises with the fire. Oh man. Oh, and now our brave explorer.
And this is our final form of the 5, but this one's still pretty fun. I just think that the like friends and effects here, especially pushing on this more like sandy, watery
that's
effect.
so
amazing.
Cool,
And
yeah.
little toucan buddies.
That's so pretty. Yeah, little toucan friends.
Dude, shout out to toucans.
I just love this.
Yeah,
skin.
I mean, like I said, there's so much to talk about. There's so much love that went into this, both on animation and audio. It's
Yeah, the effects are stellar too. I love that costume change.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
each individual skin has its own voice pack as well, so they all
Very cool.
sound different. That's a 5-in-1.
Yeah, there are
by the way.
five voice packs in one. So 5 skins, 5 voice packs, 5 sets of effects. Just absolutely incredible. And again, you can get this tier 5 one of 2 ways. You can get things throughout the event, throughout the Hope Reborn event. You know, whether it's rolling the chest, buying the skins directly, or click the buy all, have it day 1, have everything from the event day 1, which is a lot. It's one of those where every time the update comes out, you log in for the first time, and it's like, ta-da, you've been given everything.
Everything.
Yeah, right? It's crazy. So make sure to check that out. That event will be dropping next week with the update, which is
Can't
always
believe it.
wild to say. It's been like a year.
Jeez,
I don't
that's
know.
so true.
But to say next week with the update is always
You're gonna keep
so
saying that. I'm
wild.
just gonna keep being blown away.
All right, so we've talked about a lot of cool things, and we have more cool things to talk about. And next up, we're getting into some of the meaty stuff, some of the game changer stuff. And by that, I literally mean game changing balance. So let's hop into it. Starting off with some of the healing stuff. Now, we released a closer look blog that kind of demoed some of the things we were going to do, or at least explained what our goals were. But, you know, there's a lot of specifics in this. There are, not to spoil anything, but in total, there were over, 70 item changes, 70 god changes and more item changes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So, and
it's a lot of
it's
stuff.
a lot, and we're not going over all that in person because I would like to die of old age in my house and not in this chair. But so you know, for all of the details, all of the numbers on everything, check out the update notes live now. They have every single detail, and it's a lot of details. But we have some highlights we're going to go over, and let's kick it just, I guess, with goals overall first. What were kind of the general goals going into the Season of Hope?
Right. So like you said, we talked about that a little bit more in depth in the Closer Look blog. Definitely make sure to have a look at that. But in general, we thought this was a great time to address healing. I think even before, I think it's always really interesting to see that even before going into like seasonal changes or large patches, there's always kind of a community sentiment. And even before going into this one, I think there was some threads, some online talks about, what would you like to see different and changed in Smite. And one of the ones that we've always kind of had as a sticking point and we knew we wanted to address, and the time now is healing. How does healing work? Where do we as the designers, as the game developers, really think that healing could fit in Smite's gameplay? Because it's always kind of been the sore thumb. It's always been like, okay, well, it's either a little bit too strong or lifesteal, whatever it may be, self-healers. And then there's the brawling debuff.
Yeah.
Right, or buff, however you want to pitch that. But and that system, I think, honestly, it did fit in its goal. It fit what it wanted to do.
Yeah.
But we also knew, and we mentioned even at the time, this is something that we're going to address at a later date when we can find a more holistic approach to kind of, one could say, fix healing. So that is the goal, right? That is the marquee pitch of what we're trying to do here this Season of Hope, right? We're being hopeful for that one.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing to consider as well is that this is something that has taken a long time to develop. We have to make sure that we address every single kind of healing that there is, because there's a lot of different kinds, like you were mentioning. Lifesteal, self-heal, group heal, whatever it may be.
There's so many knock-on
lot.
effects of these things.
Yeah.
But so overall, the brawling effect is gone, right? So that's a really big change.
F and chat.
And what that also means is, I think we talked about in the blog, and you've seen, we have basically decreased healing across the board from pretty much everyone by about 30%, which is not the exact same as brawling, but there's differences in times where those things are going to happen.
Yeah.
There's also going to be no god left with any magical power scaling, or any power scaling, magical or physical. It just happens to be mostly on magical characters. At all. So that's going to really kind of set a new foundation of where we can balance healing from.
Okay.
And with that in mind, as kind of being the crux of how we were going to start, there was, like we said, there's so many different knock-on effects, and we're going to be talking about the action plan. We can talk about the individual changes, but effectively, getting rid of the brawling effect, nerfing healing by a set amount, making sure that lifesteal also is another factor that's been nerfed by an appropriate amount too, getting rid of the scaling, and then introducing new fun ways that healers or gods with healing abilities can affect their teammates, can affect themselves, can affect the enemies. And that's a really important part, is that you may see healing overall being diminished in the game, and that's one of the goals. But some of the gods who rely on healing the most should have new ways to influence the game.
Yes, and that's the most important part too, is that healing in Smite is not equal. You can't compare Hell to Achilles. They're not the same.
Right, absolutely.
So we also address them in that way as well, depending on exactly how much they were relying on their healing, how strong they were in the current meta is also applicable here too, with some characters that, weren't super strong may have gotten a buff to compensate. Some of them maybe did not get a buff. But it's really dependent on how they were affected in the current meta, plus the amount of healing that they were getting, plus how much overall that healing was affecting them and their kit.
Yep. And the last thing I want to say there is that whether you believe it or not, I think most of you do, healing is like statistically one of the most powerful effects in the game. Regardless if it's in meta or not, it's always really, really strong. And, whether there's anti-heal in mind or not, there's going to be a lot of times, a lot of games where, the entire team may not be affecting everyone on your team 100% of the time. With anti-heal effect. And speaking of which, the second bullet point is, with all these healing changes, there is now going to be an anti-heal cap. You can no longer get reduced all the way to 0% healing. So that's just one mechanism to make sure that even with all of these changes, with these shifts to nerfs, you can no longer have completely reduced anti-heal. Caveat on the caveat, except with just a few gods, right? We didn't want to change Odin, Serket, Osiris. I think those are the only 3 cases in the game where they just have complete heal negation.
Okay, man, there are mornings where I can wake up and I don't even know if I want to eat Cheerios or nothing for breakfast, and they're over here well, we changed healing, and healing is 5 different things, and each of those branch to 1 or 2 different things.
Yeah,
and
you can see now how this started to spiral out of control.
Oh man, well,
that's part of it too. Is we just got to make sure that we're again conquering everything here. When
I'm saying that to give respect to y'all and y'all's team, because the amount of things that you think about going into this. I've been working with Smite for a couple years now, very directly, and playing for longer than that, and even sitting here hearing y'all talk about it after reading these notes and typing them into patch notes, you're teaching me things even now about cases. So sorry, I just had to gush for a minute.
And also on that, as we said about for season 1, and we're going to say with all the seasons, all these big gameplay beats,
of course,
we're going to expect there's going to be some things that players are going to continuously want to change for better, for worse, or where it may be. Smite is an evolving game, and we're going to be balancing all these changes with you also. Obviously, feel free to let us know, and I'm sure we're going to say it again later on, about what you would like to see further change with these healing reworks.
As is the case with any big overall sweeping change, there will be things that will be stronger or weaker, and we are prepared for that. We are certainly keeping a lookout on those stats and on the opinions of the community overall, as well as the opinions of our pro players. We got to make sure that everyone is treated equally here in terms of how that we're hearing those opinions come in.
Exactly.
So
all right, now let's actually get into it. Right?
Let's get into it.
We've stalled long enough.
We're looking for y'all's feedback, but we want to give you stuff to give us feedback on, starting with brand new healing items, completely new to the game. So let's get into it. We have the oh god, you're gonna make me say this, Rod of Asclepius?
That's correct.
Nice. All right.
So just like we talked about, again, the tiny clumsy preamble before every I like getting into this thing. We talked about healers kind of losing a lot of things in terms of the actual healing output that they can do, but also we want to make sure that they gain a lot of things, right? Different ways to play around with their teammates, play around with the healing effects they may give. So that led us to 2 different healing trees, one for magical, one for physical. We've got a couple other things that are out there as well. But for these trees, we specifically wanted some ways to amplify your healing back to, again, you're never going to get to the same amounts you were before, especially with scaling gone. I'm going to keep hammering that point. Scaling is gone. That's a really big contributor to the strengths. So Rod of Asclepius, an item that's previously been in the game, as well as Catechaeus Club, I think that's
One of those.
right?
Yeah,
Caddy Chaos Club is also
Club.
going to get a similar change, but different. We're going to get there in a second. And there's also new items. So
Yes.
rework on Asclepius, I guess you could say.
Yeah, this one is rework, so it's like new.
Yes, and one important thing that I do want to clarify here with Rod of Asclepius is actually what healing dealt means.
Yes.
So I know the wording was previously confusing, so I want to clarify on this. Healing dealt is only your healing that you're passing out. Either that's to yourself or to your teammates. Giving healing dealt to other players is only in regards to what you are healing, not what they are giving out themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't make their heal stronger. It makes your healing them stronger.
Yes.
Got it. And it works for yourself, so always good to know.
So Rod of Asclepius passive healing dealt, like you mentioned, is going to be increased by 30%. There's no team-wide aura. It's now only going to be specifically for you.
Yep.
But the new aura effect here is allied gods within 30 units have 10% CDR.
That's big.
That's a really new effect for an aura. It's something that we wanted to make sure that felt utility driven. 30% is going to be on the higher bar of healing dealt increases as well.
Yeah.
Again, the caveat there is the unit size is 30 range. That's
Very
not a
small.
lot.
That's
so
pretty
you're not going to be
small.
affecting your entire team all the time in fights, nor even in arena.
Yeah.
You do have to meaningfully choose where you're going to be to
Yeah.
provide CDR for those effects.
Awesome. Let's move on to the next item, Rejuvenating Heart.
And this is one of our new ones.
One of the new ones that I just promised.
Again, as Clumsy mentioned, this is in a new tree, no longer in the staff tree, I believe is what it was previously called.
So pretty.
This is now a different tree, and this is another tier 3 in that tree. And so Rejuvenating Heart is another option that healers go to, but this one is a nice little mix for our magical characters that they can get more healing the more active they are in combat. So specifically the passive here is that successfully hitting enemy gods with basic attacks and abilities provides stacks of healing dealt, increased healing dealt.
Exactly.
So you can have up to 8 of these stacks, and so depending on whenever you use that next ability heal, specifically ability heal, want to keep that clear. Doesn't work on like meditation, doesn't work on pots, any of that stuff. It will increase that healing dealt. So whichever person that you hit with your heal, whether it's yourself, whether it's all your teammates, it will consume those stacks, and then you'll go back to 0, have to build it up again.
Okay, so it'll help you in a team fight build up to maybe a burst heal, a slightly bigger burst heal. Okay, I like that a lot. Cool. Let's move on to another item, Last Gasp.
Yep, the third one for the magical item tree.
Yeah.
This one is not going to be increasing your healing power, your healing dealt. This one's going to give more utility or offensive effects. Like I said, we want to make sure that healing characters or characters who just splash into healing have different ways and different options to affect their own gameplay. So for this one, after healing an allied god specifically, so not yourself, with an ability, you gain magical power based on how much missing health they have.
Yep.
So the lower and lower health that your ally has at the time of heal, the more magical power you actually gain.
Huh, okay. So if you're clutch healing somebody, all of a sudden you're a lot stronger for that time period.
For a good period of time.
I love how the name of the item works into the effect of it too. Just chef's kiss on that. Cool. So next up, we just talked about this. I'm going to call it the Caduceus Club because that sounds like a fun way to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Cat Club, now we're transitioning from magical to physical. This is our new physical healing tree, and so Cat Club is getting a bit of a rework here to make sure it's along the same lines of Rod of Asclepius, but one thing that we wanted to really emphasize here is that it is a little bit different. So it's still got that healing increase, right? It has that core pillar, but instead of, for yourself, again, healing dealt. Important.
And no
remember
longer that like aura-based effect.
Yes. So
for
that
healing.
Yes, that is for you. For the aura, though, allied gods within 70 units, this is a little bit bigger.
Exactly.
Has CCR and increased movement speed. It's a small amount, but it's going to be noticeable, right? And movement speed is a very powerful stat. So I want to be sure that if we're giving people these stats, we got to make sure that it's a little bit of time. But it's very, very fun to play with this item. Play around your healing because you're going to be giving out more. And you're also kind of being the leader of the charge, right? Because anyone around you is going that little bit faster. So y'all move together, you're going to be faster, and you're going to be taking less CC duration because of that reduction.
Also, these items being in new trees, definitely keep an eye out for their stats, which may have been reworked as well.
Yeah.
Again, Sleepiest,
all of the patch notes.
Speed. Yep, exactly.
Super cool. All right, well, let's keep going on with the Vital Amplifier.
Right, Vital Amplifier is an interesting one. So for the physical tree, we kind of have one more healing-oriented item and two more offensive or utility-focused items. So this one's definitely playing around with that. So you've got some physical power. I want to mention out the stats here as well. 20% attack speed. Also, after healing yourself or an allied god, so a little bit different than the magical version as well.
Yeah.
You gain 10% attack speed and 5% basic attack damage for a short period of time, but stacking up to 3 times. And this doesn't have an internal cooldown. So if you have like a multi-tick heal, like Chalk, or if you're healing repeatedly, or you're healing multiple allied gods and yourself, you're getting that stack very, very quickly,
right
and getting
off
this
the rip.
bonus effect
Got it.
very, very quickly.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Chalk. I'm thinking like Thanatos if you're getting souls from the wave.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters that can utilize this item really, really
That's
well.
what's really interesting is like we mentioned, is that even if you are splashing into healing, if you're not a traditional healer for any of these, you might consider some of these items that don't just increase your healing dealt for these splash effects.
Yeah. Guan Yu feels like a good choice for that.
Amaterasu, I think, is the one that we've seen a lot of success with.
Speaking about it, the next one's even kind of spicy too.
True. How about we check it out then? We check out Sekhmet's Scepter.
Oh yeah, this one's incredibly fun for those spammers. This is the kind of character that you want to consider this item for. So Sekhmet's Scepter, again, has the power, health, MP5, but this one's got CDR on it, so really good for like Guan Yu, as you mentioned. So this one has very, very fun passive where after healing yourself, so in the instance of Guan Yu, let's just use him as our example here.
Okay,
You press 1. You've healed yourself. Now you have a period of 6 seconds where each time that you damage an enemy god, you reduce your cooldowns. But there's also an internal cooldown on that proc. So, for instance, you've got the 6-second window, but every 0.5 seconds, if you're damaging in that time period, you'll get that extra 0.5 proc. So you're basically taking the time and then returning the time back and forth with that. So overall, you can get that 3-second decrease if you're on it every single time.
Yeah.
But again, you've got to be on it. So Guan Yu, a lot of abilities, able to proc that pretty easily if you are keeping damaging.
One Talu Assault and you're pretty much
Talu
there,
Assault's got
almost.
it locked in.
This is a super fun item with those characters that really want to play up those cooldown refreshes, because that's exactly what this one's for.
Awesome. Well, that sounds super fun, and we're going to keep moving on with the next item, Erosion.
All right, so this kind of is a new category that we're talking about. So now we're kind of adjacent to the healing. And this is a new effect that we're adding to the game to several different places, where it's future shield health reduction.
Yep.
So what the community have desired is, while one already in the game, we have ways to decrease current shields that are already on people, right? You have Sunder, you have the Ankhs as well. But now you're going to have new methods of debuffing the enemies so that if a shield is applied to them afterwards, it's actually going to be reduced in its effectiveness.
Okay.
So it's affecting any future shield. So Erosion,
forward thinking.
Exactly, is kind of just the standard archetype item for this. So the passive, every time an enemy within 30 units gains a shield, you gain movement speed. But again, the aura is kind of the archetypal part here, where any shields applied on enemy gods within a small area just has it reduced by 30%.
Yes.
So you have this around. Odin pops his shield.
Yeah.
It's already reduced by 30% on first activation.
On launch. All right. That's awesome. It kind of works like Ankh with predicting healing, right?
Yeah.
You're like,
Exactly.
I know they're about to shield. This is a great
And
use
then
case
again,
for
the fun here, going back to it, because the aura was the most important part there. It's kind of like Pestilence with its aura.
Yeah.
The active component is every time an enemy does proc shield, you gain movement speed effect as well. So you're kind of getting. We're already kind of developing this item the way we do new items already, which is the aura effect, the passive effect.
Yes, and again, this sounds very scary for our shield-dependent characters like our Odins, our Nikes.
Really good point.
But this has, a very small radius, 30 radius. So if you want to intentionally take those shields down, you got to be pretty close to them. You're within striking distance. So it's not just a free, I'm getting rid of all your shields forever. You're going to be a little bit in danger here to get rid of them.
Right, exactly. And you might see some of those characters who require it getting a little bit of extra
Yes, that's
shifts.
important too. We'll be addressing some of that a little bit later.
Getting to that shortly then. Then we'll continue forward. Looks like a bit of a passive shift for Gem of ISO.
Yeah, so up next, still staying on the shielding topic, we're just adding this, debuff effect onto some of the other items in the game for various classes. We want to make sure that people that aren't really looking to buy defense in that erosion, because that is, again, in the gem tree.
Yeah.
They have other options as well. So one of those options is going to be Gem of Isolation, where they have that applied on the slow debuff as well. So that is one of those items, as well as the next one being Envenom Deathbringer.
Yep.
Which also has that same effect, where for those characters that are buying this Deathbringer, you also have that additional future shield reduction effect. So those two kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
We just kind of want to spread the shield reduction love, or I guess hate, equally.
We love reducing them. We hate the shields. I don't know. It's
Yes,
good,
and the important part to consider here is when in the game you're getting these items as well, because for instance, Erosion is a little bit easier to purchase in the early game, where Gem of Isolation and Venom Deathbringer, those are more luxury items, right? So for those characters, they're not going to be able to go into it right away, but they could prioritize it if they feel like shields are especially difficult to deal with into whatever team comp they're against.
Yeah, if you lose draft against shields, then you have a path you can
have
go
a
to
path
help
forward,
kinda
yep.
settle it out.
Also, quick note on Venom Deathbringer. We know, so obviously this being the glyph spot, a little bit more niche. It's also getting a trade-off too. It's getting the damage dealt component removed off of this one, so we're not just adding the effects, and you might see that somewhere else.
Yep.
Cool.
Coming up.
Well, I mean, we've talked about a lot of different healing items. As we kind of move on to the rest of the items, is there anything else that you wanted to go over within the purviews of how we're changing healing? You know, or I mean, do we cover it good? Y'all are always covering things good.
I think the most important thing here going on is that what we're going to go into next, but also you can see in the patch notes, is just a whole bunch of items. You basically expect, like, if you see life steal, if you see healing, it's going to be getting a certain amount of reduction.
Yeah.
So. We're not going to go into all of it now, but on the patch notes, definitely have a look because it's a whole bunch of different items.
It is, and I always recommend looking at the patch notes for this because they are a treasure trove of information so that you can start preparing for the Season of Hope. So we'll keep moving on through items, moving into shards and relics in that kind of area. And it seems like overall there was some nerfs happening in that area.
So that's kind of what I wanted to preempt in the previous section, is that, like, right now we're going to breeze through a couple of things. We're going to be pinpointed on a couple of other ones, but for these ones specifically, Claw Shard, the Meditations, and Sundering Siphon, they all have healing effects. They've all been reduced.
Got it. Yeah. Just again, the goal of the season is to take healing and tweak it. Whether that's, it's reductions here, additions of new abilities there. So overall, good stuff.
And we might be breezing through these, but I do also want to shout out that after this patch note show, we are going to be doing a designer Q&A. If you guys have questions about any of these specifics, hold those questions for now. We'll be there later to answer them, but this is just kind of an overview, and then feel free to ask us questions in that next section.
Yeah. So actually, we'll just throw this in real quick, and I'll mention it again at the end. But yeah, right after this, we got the art show. For those of you who didn't see it ahead, don't worry, it's still here. We got the art show coming immediately after. And then once the art show ends, like Lermy just said, we have an incredible show where they're going to answer questions, go into the patch a little more in depth than what we're doing here. For those of you who want to stay in, ask your questions, and really get all those juicy details. So we got y'all covered.
There's a lot of changes.
A lot of details.
One more thing on the different types of change that we're doing, including for these nerfs we talked about for shards and relics, and going forwards for gods or for the other items. You're going to see a lot of times where there's going to be just strict nerfs, right? Just strict, the healing has been stripped off of these things.
Yeah.
And some gods or characters or items or abilities, whatever it may be, may get shifts in comparison.
Yeah.
The designers have basically chosen which ones get shifts, which one gets buffed based on their performance, based on data, based on their perception, based on a lot of different attributes. And there are going to be times where there's going to be just strict nerfs, and you might be going like, hey, that item or whatever it may be is not really doing so well, and either or is doing really well, and it could have gotten further nerfs. And either, again, we're looking at the data, we're looking at the perception to base our decisions around those, or it's also a good opportunity to just do some meta shakeups, right?
Yeah,
so there's some things that you might have expected even larger nerfs for. There's so much change going on that who really is going to predict what's going to happen in a few weeks' time once you guys all get your hands on this.
Yeah. So I mean, I think
next week.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah, I just mean when maybe things start panning out and stabilizing, but I was gonna say months at first, but you know what? You guys might figure it out in a week.
Yeah, y'all are quick.
We got those math wizards out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is, I think this is a great area also to point out, like, for those of you who didn't know what we meant by 4 seasons in a year, 4 seasons in a year. We kicked off the season with Surtur and everything huge. We're into the second season, Season of Hope, and there's a lot of stuff. Just, imagine what will happen in Season 3 and 4. That's all I got to say. All right, let's keep moving into starter items, all right? So, looks like Hunters, plenty of starter items getting tweaked around in there. I'll just let y'all dive into it then.
Yeah, so in general, this update has done a few things. It's addressing a lot of the healing stuff, but also there's kind of like we talked about, I know AJ was here earlier, there's a little bit of shift between Hunters and Mages and ADC Mages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of shifts that may be, providing actually incidental buffs to a lot of hunters.
Yeah.
So we want to be very, very careful with their starter items and upgrades as well as taking this as a good opportunity to shift things around because, they have maybe have had a bit of a static gameplay style.
Yeah.
So Death Toll being like that quintessential provides a lot of healing.
Of course.
There's going to be some new things going on there, specifically on the upgrade. So one, Death Toll is going to be increasing its physical power, going to be decreasing its health, so it's a bit of a shift there.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about some places getting shifts, but also Death's Embrace is getting kind of a spicy change here. So, the health is being reduced. We talked about that. But now, when you hit an enemy with your basic attacks, you will also start reducing your active non-ultimate ability cooldowns by a very, very short amount. But that's happening without an internal cooldown.
Awesome. So, yeah, it'll just keep going, and if you're really landing those attacks. Awesome. That's really cool. That's a lot. So, I mean, yeah, let's keep going with it. There are more changes to more items, and yeah, let's dive into the next one.
Yeah, so we've also got Death's Temper,
Yeah.
which is getting a buff as well, and then we're also moving into the cowls, which have been a little bit out of the meta, you might say. It's been a bit of a death toll world for a little bit, as you might say. At least for our hunters that aren't picking up Bluestone, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So they're also getting a couple of shifts for Leather Cowl, mostly buffs, but again, taking away a little bit of that
Always gonna be a
lifesteal
few of those
potential.
shifts. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
when we see the shifts, we'll be sure to clarify, which direction it's going. For Leather Cowl in specific, we know that it's been out of the meta. We're trying to give it a little bit more of that up versus a lot more of that down, like for Death Toll.
Cool, and it looks like we're kind of ending with the arrows, actually, and a buff to Diamond Arrow.
Yeah, arrows not as much sustain going on there, so it's really
Yeah.
kind of just on the buff side of things. We've got a little bit more gold generation from Gilded Arrow. We obviously want to be very, very narrow on that one because we know how that can start breaking the
That
game.
can make a lot of money.
Some health and spicier. We've got some penetration, physical and magical for Diamond Arrow.
That's
so
exciting.
That might change a lot of different playstyles, but it's
Yeah.
on the upgrade, so you've got to work your way over there. Too.
Yeah, it's something that you'll get to, but you're not going to start with.
And then Ornate Arrow getting some basic attack damage as well as some critical strike chance increases. So some decently sized buffs for the infantry. Again, with no healing at all affecting them. These are just straight buffs.
Yeah, it's just straight up a good time. All right, well, let's move into jungle starters. And it looks like all of these are seeing, there's some shifts and then some buffage going on across basically, a lot of them, across the Boombas and the mannequin stuff for sure, and then Seer of Jungle a little bit.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of interesting stuff going on in the jungle. We've been seeing
Jungle's
some people going, we've been seeing some people going Bluestone, and we're not necessarily against people going different items in the jungle, but we did want to make sure that because the general jungle star items are focused a lot around that sustain and how they're keeping it into making sure they can, keep jungling efficiently.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure that they're also getting a little bit more value on top of that because we've seen that, jungling might not be as difficult as it used to be considering there just weren't as many camps before.
Yeah.
Well, again, we also fixed a little bit of that going on in the Conquest changes themselves, but we want to address that with the items as well.
Yeah, so for almost every jungle item, starter item, they always have some sort of health restore component. So basically you're expecting the shifts there, you're getting a little bit of power back in compensation. And then specifically for the Eye of the Jungle Tree, you're getting just kind of some strict buffs.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds like an excellent shift up. And again, the jungle's just been a crazy place. So seeing the shifts there, between those harpies and the new Cyclops camp, there's just a lot of moving and shaking.
Exactly.
So let's move into solo lane now. Solo lane I play solo lane. It can be an island sometimes. So there's a lot of changes happening there, not only with Conquest, but with the items. And Bluestone right off the bat, getting some touch. It looks like a little bit of nerf, actually.
Yeah, this item has been showing up across the board in 3 different roles, you'd argue.
It's
almost
been
4
good.
if we're going to count mid there.
It's been doing good.
So we want to just make sure that we're adjusting it accordingly. Of course, that
Bluestone's going too.
I guess.
I'm just like, man.
All right.
I'm sure. I'm just thinking about like my
Insider
ranked game
strats.
flashbacks.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
what? There was definitely one.
Just the 5-stack Bluestones. It'll be fun.
Yeah, so we've been seeing this one doing a little bit of work. Again, this isn't really fall into that healing category,
Yeah.
but we'll see that a little bit later. So we're touching Bluestone, getting a little bit of damage decrease on that. Bluestone Brooch, the upgrade, is also getting a decrease on the damage dealt, the base, and the health percentage. And then, of course, we get to move forward into our axes as they are getting the more healing-oriented change.
Yeah, and it looks like those are also kind of seeing a little bit of nerfage.
Yeah, so we were talking about healing, we're talking about hunters. Another kind of subcategory of nerfs is just proc damage.
Yeah.
We see the community sentiment that proc damage is a little bit high, and we don't disagree.
Yeah.
We did address some of that in I think a previous bonus bounce between like Heartseeker, Tablet of Destinies. We've gone back and forth on that one a little bit, and we're obviously going to keep in mind where we are. In this current state, regardless of how this season does with healing, proc damage is something that we're definitely going to keep an eye on. So there's a few different things. For solo lane specifically, it's going to be the Bluestone, it's going to be the Warrior's Axe, but we're going to come back to that exact bullet point a little bit later, and it's just something that I wanted to kind of mention overall now, so that if you think that we skipped anything, if you see there's any proc damage items that we didn't address in this patch specifically, which we did do quite a few, then we are probably going to be considering it for future patch.
We're keeping an eye on it.
Always looking down the road. Like it's crazy how many things can happen right now, and then you ask, wow, so are you guys like winding down because you just finished this big thing? It's like, no. What does that even mean? You're
always chugging forward.
Always chugging forward. So continuing to chug forward, we have physical lifesteal items, and starting off with Evolved Devourer's Gauntlet, kind of getting a bit of a shift
This
around.
one is very, very fun.
Very, very
We've seen a bit of an Aussie meta. And that's really cool because Aussie got an awesome change going into the Season of Monsters. I thought that was a really fun, shake up there because we had been seeing Devos dominating a little bit before. But now it's going to be a little bit equalized, right? Where the lifesteal component is not as, different as it was before, I would say. You still get that really awesome burst from Aussie, but with Evolved Devos, you're now getting even more power and more flat pen. 15 flat pen on Evolved Devos, which is a lot
Yeah.
for
It's
for
pretty
hunters.
exciting there. And again, kind of like we mentioned, there's going to be some shifts on a couple of things. We knew for physical lifesteal, like you said, is kind of dominated by Aussie. But where does Devour's Gloves and some of these other items live in a world where lifesteal is just worse?
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to see that same exact question with the magical tree as well. If lifesteal is just worse and some of these items are basically their only identity is lifesteal, how can we kind of shore that up? So the evolved Devour's Gauntlet's getting the power into the pen, but also Dev Gloves is getting that little bit of love too. In fact, you're going to be getting the physical penetration per stack as you're gaining the stats.
As you're
all the
building
way
it up
to
to
evolve as well.
evolution.
Yeah.
And then that bonus.
So it's going to be a nice, smooth increase.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Bloodforge, another one of those items, a little bit more
This is
simpler
fun.
there. We're going to just be giving it some attack speed for
Which
the
is
first
crazy for
time, new
Bloodforge,
stat
yeah.
for that item. And then there's going to be quite a few items as well that are going to just be getting straight nerfs for now, and then we can readdress later on how they fall into the meta.
Yeah. And again, even if we're not saying that these items specifically are getting healing nerfs, they're almost always on the graphic here that we have on screen, thanks to our wonderful production members for that. These are all getting healing adjusted. If you see it on the screen there, if we're talking about lifesteal, it's going down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's so, and again, all on the update notes. We didn't want to talk about every little thing, so we kind of cherry picked some of the bigger ones or some of the ones that we thought were more important. But there's a lot more than meets the eye to this. So
yeah, I'm just waiting for that one item somewhere that we missed, like the tier 2 with lifesteal that we forgot to bring it down
darn
from
it.
like 3 to 2%.
y'all will let us know. There will be people DMing me like, "Hey, you spelled this wrong in the update notes, by the way." I mean, it's hard. Listen, you can unlock your scroll wheel, flick it, and then I don't know, go bake a cake and come back, and then you'd hit the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I'll
so.
take that cake,
True. All right, so a lot of stuff in physical lifesteal. But let's move on to magical lifesteal as well. And I guess there's kind of a note here at the beginning to talk a little bit about mage ADC nerfs in general. So what's the vibe with that?
Right. So we talked a little bit earlier with like purple buff being changed, the mage
Mm-hmm.
ADC stuff. We had some arrow changes before that kind of were like bug fixes and quality of life from previously. Mage ADCs we've seen with this new season, with this new year, kind of overtaking hunters a little bit, which has also been kind of interesting, right? It's
It's
like
been neat.
no mages or mage ADCs, only like double hunters going into the end of last year. And then it's like where are the hunters gone? We saw a couple of them in the
then
tournaments. Yeah, and then we
other way
saw
around.
a lot of mage
That
ADCs.
quick 180.
Between all the changes that we've made previously and specifically here, a couple of mage ADC nerfs, there's also going to be just more shifts like we talked about. So the mage ADCs and the godless, once we get to there, they may not be getting as many buffs as they could in compensation for their lifesteal and healing nerfs. So that's kind of one thing. But also, two, mage ADCs tend to rely on lifesteal almost as like an archetype of their item build paths.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's the rings, whether it's like Bancrofts or Typhons or the glyphs there, we understand that they specifically, the 4 or 5 of them that are out there,
That are
or
very
that
strong.
build path, if you want to just build Poseidon as a mage ADC, because
Yeah.
you technically can, are probably going to be relying on lifesteal. So we have very much kept that in mind when thinking about the fact that we want to be careful with how much we nerf them.
Yes.
Because we're hitting kind of like 3 different ways of nerfing them all at the same time.
Yeah.
We don't want to like double or triple down on anything specifically.
Awesome. Well, good to know moving forward, and moving forward we are, with Typhon's Fang getting a little bit of a change up, like
Yeah.
a lot of things.
This is like the quintessential lifesteal item. Other than
It is.
Bancrofts, this
Right.
item does amplify your lifesteal proportionally. So this
Yeah.
is like the item to adjust basically for
Get
all of
that
our
healing.
lifestealing mages. So the cost is going down quite dramatically, very far, 150 gold. But it's also going to be losing that 10% healing from lifesteal, as well as 5% lifesteal itself. So those changes are really impactful, which means that we're also going to increase the penetration from 10% to 20% to make sure that those mages that are wanting to build more into that lifesteal to get that extra lifesteal amplification from this item are able to at least kind of compete, because again, this is losing a lot of that extra flair that it once had
Yeah.
because of the brawling mechanics. But again, it's getting a lot of really awesome compensation between that cost, between the power, and between the pen increase. That this is
Yeah.
going to be a pretty powerful item
A
still.
new mage 20% pen item. It's
Yes.
just kind of just like an
yeah.
interesting thing to think about, because there's only been like 2 options before. Now a third one, even with healing kind of being reduced, definitely could change the way mages build.
Yeah,
Yep.
get the build path all shook up. Excellent. So there are other things, if you want to kind of rattle off some of the other changes happening under the magical
Between
lifesteal
like
tree.
Tel'Kine's Ring, Poly, Spear of the Magus, the trinket tree completely. whether it's Pythag, Soul Gem, the Bancrofts, with the glyphs in mind.
Yeah.
Bancrofts is kind of another one that's kind of like built alongside Typhons or even just
similarly.
specifically, especially with the glyphs in mind from HADCs. That one's also getting a little bit of a spicier shift with the floor actually being increased for when you're gaining like the max benefits of the power and the lifesteal. So that one, you may not have to go all the way down to like death territory to actually maximize.
Still very good in
benefits.
1v1s though.
So that one's kind of exciting.
Good trade item. All right, well, cool stuff. And again, all of the stuff on update notes, y'all know this. I'm beating it into the ground. So let's get into some more general balance. Obviously, a lot of what we focus on is healing related because that's the theme, but there is some general balance in here as well. Starting with the way the teleport fragment works, actually. So teleport's just kind of in general getting a nerf, it looks like.
Right.
Solo
So
laners.
I feel like we're addressing so many different subsects of like
it's all over the place.
So we were just talking about healing, right? Healing is now in a box. We're putting the box over here. Let's talk about solo.
Let's talk about solo
lane. We're in the solo lane section.
You know, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff in healing as well. It's going to have massive implications for the solo lane.
That's across
So
the
we're
map.
going to just address a few things here, which is making sure that solo lane feels interesting. Teleport may seem like a small thing, but just we have seen the prevalence being extremely high, the purchase rate for teleport being extremely high. So we just want to make sure that there's a little bit less safety and always be getting freely back to your lane via teleport. We know that will have some knock-on effects for like casual players like me. I buy it regardless of whether it's in meta or not. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I just want to get back to lane.
I'm gonna get
getting
poked
teleport.
out.
I'm
I want to
getting
get
healing
back.
challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah. The important thing to note here is that this is to increase the diversity of what we see. For those players that are confident in their laning abilities, or they picked an early game character, you don't necessarily need to go teleport. You could invest into an option like a Shell or a Med or even something like a Bracer if you're really feeling like you want to just pump out that damage and try and kill the enemy.
Between like teleport, between the map changes that I think we talked about, if not, it's on the patch note show with Totem of Ku and the Aura and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A few other small things like, I'm going to go into Oni Hunter's Garb, where we've done a shift here. We've increased the health, but we've decreased the damage mitigation per stack. Because another thing that's alongside all of this is the mitigation argument that we've addressed a little bit before, and we're going to keep our eyes on continuously is how much mitigation is in the game, and that's something that you might see a little bit more in future updates. But just another place we're going to be shifting the mitigation, and kind of the last thing here is Frostbound Hammer and Runeforge Hammer kind of being tweaked items that we did in Season 1 are actually going to get buffed up, because one thing to make sure is that if it seems like a lot of warriors, a lot of solo laners are going very, very high defensive items kind of to start out their builds. So we want to make sure that there's a lot of good comparative offensive items. So if you want to, if you see the enemy going kind of like a breastplate or something early, you want to go kind of Runeforge and go more of an aggressive build. You have that option to kind of bully them out for a little period of time before you flex your build paths.
Yeah, and especially considering the changes to teleport and all the value that you get in those camps as well, it's going to be more important than ever.
Harpies and like
there's so
there's so many things.
There's so many like side changes there that we want to kind of again do a few different things and different methods to kind of affect each part of the game.
Yeah, we're looking at it holistically here and trying to make sure that every aspect is getting adjusted in some way here.
Right.
And it feels like it definitely is. So we're packaging up solo lane, putting that box over here. Let's get into a little bit of general ADC stuff with Failnot having a bit of a change.
Yeah, so this is we kind of preempted a little bit earlier in Venom Deathbringer losing that kind of 10% damage output debuff, and it's actually going to be going on the Mark of Failnot.
Okay.
So Failnot, an item that it's slightly niche depending on what kind of character you are. I was like getting in like Dunsborough or Cupid.
Hey, that's pretty fun.
Exactly. Now it's going to get a little bit of that. It's a small buff. Really, that's where it is.
Small buff, and along with some other things was like Transcendence, Demon Blade, Bladed Boomerang, Griffin Wing, all kind of also getting some shifts. A lot of buffs actually, really. So
yeah, mostly buffs for our hunters. I mean, we've heard you guys feel like hunters are in a not so great spot, and we see the data to support that as well. So we want to make sure that you guys are getting a lot more to play with here, and it could be any of these items, or again, that shield reduction coming onto Venom Deathbringer.
Yeah, so all kinds of different, again, approaching from all the angles. So moving on to the friend of the ADC, we have the support, and heroism getting a little bit of a touch up.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy heroism on my team, you will be my best friend. So this is just kind of getting a buff to go in line with the other support star items that get extra gold per 5 when you upgrade them. So this is more so of a fix than really a buff.
Heroism, Spartan Flag, both
both of these guys getting that.
Added to them.
Yep.
Cool. And then we continue the trek onward, and we're getting into now a little bit more of general balance. And for mage, I guess we've been doing that for everybody, but now we're in the mage realm, going to that mid lane, and we're looking at Divine Ruin, having some power scaling changed around.
Right. So this is kind of that other side of the proc damage coin that we were talking about, where we saw that on warriors and solo laners a lot more. Mages are the other kind of class that's been utilizing that a lot. And then there's also kind of just this argument between where are mages strong. Once they get their Book of Thoth and Tablet of Destinies online, but then we've kind of nerfed those builds, and where can we play around with mage builds is kind of where the question is. So 2 things here, Divine Ruin and Soul Gem are going to get the proc damage decreased. And we wanted to make sure that they have mages as a whole kind of get a few new things to play around with, or a few old things to play around with again. So Doom Orb kind of getting some buffs there. It's a little bit of shift technically.
It's a big buff.
Yeah, it's a big buff here. So you're going to be the mana is going to be removed, but we're adding 10% magical penetration, and we're increasing that base movement speed from 4% to 6%. And then there's a couple of other buffs, like we said, with Rotatuti, Calamitous, Perfected Rotatuti, just the glyphs. The tier 2 of Doom Orb being Cursed Orb, as well as Spirit of Desolation, all getting buffs. Mostly again to just make sure that if we're moving away from proc damage, if that's the thing that has made mages a little bit too strong, we're giving them kind of new things to shore up what weaknesses they may have.
Awesome.
Especially with all the hunter shifts and buffs that they've been getting.
Yeah, I want to make sure that, we don't want mages to be too powerful. We don't want anybody to be too powerful. It's just all about the harmony and the balance.
More things to try, more toys to play with. Trying to build. You might like this Doom Orb build. We've had a lot of fun testing it, at least. It's been a bit since we've seen any Doom Orbs, so
exactly.
maybe now's the time.
Little Doom Orb action. All right, well, cool. So that's done it for items. Again, as y'all might have noticed, we didn't get in depth with every single one of them. We shared some very important things, but there's a lot of info you can still go read in the update notes. But we got some gods to talk about now. And the first god, who has been, I imagine a lot of y'all have thought about this, a hot topic for a healing update, and that's Aphrodite. There are a ton of changes here to Aphrodite. It looks like most abilities are getting a touch in one way or another, so let's just dive right into it.
Yeah, so Aphrodite, again, is like our, what would you call it, our poster healer?
Yeah,
poster child for our
healer.
healers.
So a couple, I feel like you could just do like I don't know if it's a bingo card, a tally of me just interrupting her like, before we get into this,
but
Clumsy's preamble.
All right, go on.
Clumsy's preamble section is a few of these gods that we're starting with are going to be kind of like the assault healer tier list, we can almost call it.
Yeah,
right? Like that's how you guys would see it. For us, it's really just like the best healers of the game. So whether it's the tier 1 healers being kind of like Aphrodite and Hell, going down, I think Emoji's in there as well. Tier 2 healers, the first section of this is going to kind of be in that order, and we are going to go through, I think, all tier 1 and tier 2 healers, unlike what we did for items where we kind of just breeze through. And then later on, we might just breeze through and just kind of pick out the most interesting ones. So
sure,
Aphrodite being one of our best healers.
Yes.
For sure.
Okay, so shall we begin with the list? All right.
Indeed.
So some of you may have seen on Twitter yesterday, little spoilers
spoilers,
moment. Kiss now does damage to gods only, which is a very exciting change. This again will,
Minions get no love.
Minions get no love, man.
Not even a little bit.
Sorry, little guys. Maybe next time. Not today. Aphrodite's getting a lot of other change on top of it as well.
Yeah,
so
a lot.
Damage, number 1. She also shares 50% of her MP5 and 20% of her physical and magical protections with her soulmate instead of sharing the mana regeneration, which is very, very cool. I think this is a really interesting direction to take her, especially for those who are building a little bit tankier Aphrodite. Support Aphrodite, not troll anymore?
Nope.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Question mark.
Like we said, the more you kind of relied on healing before, whether it's for yourself or for your allies, the more changes you're going to get. And these two tier 1 healers are going to get the largest amount of that, because we wanted to make sure that if you identified yourself as only an Aphrodite healer, now you have just new ways of playing Aphrodite that doesn't just rely on that playstyle so heavily. So now the Lynx teammate getting MP5, which again kind of was what you had before with the mana restoration. It's kind of just an easier way of doing that now.
Yeah, it's more consistent.
It's more consistent. You're not just doing like weird burst like meditation plays or something like that. And the protections. That's just one of the few ways now that she's varied her playstyle.
There's more. Let's move on to ability number 3, Love Birds, because we've got a change on this as well, where the heal's going down. Of course, talked about that. No more magical scaling as well. But this ability now provides a flat 0.25 second ability cooldown reduction per tick to self and allies, including on this ability.
Yes.
Ooh.
So this for herself, this is just a flat cooldown reduction. On this ability, it's 2. So we specifically, I want to call this out because I know we could question ourselves. We specifically didn't increase the cooldown on this ability to compensate for the cooldown reduction it's getting, but that was kind of purposeful. It seemed like a good area to just buff.
Just a buff.
And again, we're keeping an eye on this as well, because this is a really spicy change, but we're excited to see what kind of plays that you guys make with things like that. But that's not all. We've still got more.
That's not all. How about we talk about some more?
Oh yeah, we've got Ultimate Time, Undying Love. So kind of to change up the thought process here a bit. So using your kiss on a non-ally while you're linked to an ally provides a buff of jealousy.
Yes.
And that increases your power. So, yeah, we have an additional way to obtain jealousy other than going off and kissing someone else. Is you've got, you are able to do it when you ult as well. So not only is this a safety mechanic, it's also a buff mechanic. So jealousy will now refresh if it's already applied, or it will apply 5 seconds of it anytime that Aphrodite ults to herself and to her soulmate.
Yeah, that's really cool because
That
it
is
allows
cool.
you as the Aphrodite a way to gain the power buff without actually being linked to an ally.
Yes,
'Cause
exactly.
if you're just completely by yourself in mid lane or wherever you may be, and you just pop your ulti, you're just getting solo jealousy.
Yeah.
It's just pretty good. It's a lot of power.
That is a lot of power. So yeah, a lot of crazy changes going on there. And we have a lot of changes with another healer as well. Hell, another popular in the healing space, having another.
But hold on, just one quick tiny last thing on the previous one.
Oh
this is
my
like it's not a
God.
preamble, it's like a post-amble.
A post-amble. All right.
As we mentioned, that magical power scaling and power scaling as a whole is going to be pretty much removed from all healing abilities. Only a few select healers, I think these are one of the only two, are going to be gaining per level increases on their healing.
Yes.
So
Okay.
Lovebirds will be getting +2 per level. All the other gods of the game, for the most part, are actually just getting the per rank. So the best gods that required, kind of demanded the most amount of healing are getting at least a little bit of compensation.
Okay, and it makes sense for those that were kind of built around healing to have that naturally getting better at healing as you level thing. So, all right, cool. So next up, we have a preamble about Hell, and then we're going to talk about Hell.
No, the preamble on Hell was the same one I did for Aphrodite.
Okay.
But I
You're gonna
guess
repeat yourself.
me saying this right now is like a clarification
All
of
right,
the
all
preamble.
right, all right.
So go
Almost
ahead.
like get
So,
into it.
Hell,
Like,
again.
I need to be the one quiet here. So.
Hell, again, another one of our poster shrines of healing, you might say. So she is getting
sure.
a bunch of changes as well. First up, Stance Attunement, which
Nice.
is her passive. In the light stance now, instead of getting increased healing, you are now applying 8% power reduction to enemies in the area, which also scales up depending on how attuned you are
So
to
going
that
all the way
stance.
0
Yeah.
to 8%.
Yeah, 0 to 8%, to better clarify on that. This effect, again, scales up as you're attuned to the stance, but that is the first thing. The second thing is on Decay, which is the Dark Stance 1 with the explosion. This now goes through walls.
Which copies the same behavior as the light stance one.
Yep.
So
Okay.
gameplay-wise, they will now feel the same. Which also, it's a buff, obviously, but it also just makes it feel a little bit more intuitive. You don't need to be like, oh, I'm in this stance, and it goes through walls, I'm in this stance, and it doesn't. Now it's doing the same thing.
Yep,
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
And speaking of doing the same thing, we've got the light stance one, Restoration.
Restoration.
So, of course, heals going down here.
Yep.
You know, got to be clear on that, and also getting the
all
per level healing, like you mentioned for Aphrodite as well, because this is so in tune with what Hell is. Get it? Haha, stance attunement. Anyway, this ability now also damages and passes through minions, as well as when you hit an ally with this ability, it gives you a mana heal on top of it. And that also mana heal can apply to the ally that you hit. But again, this mana heal is only when you hit an ally. This is not on hitting an enemy. You don't get any restoration for that. When you hit an ally, you yourself get the smaller heal, as well as this mana heal.
Yep, exactly. So again, more ways of affecting others around you that aren't just healing, and that's going to be seen again in the next ability.
Yeah, and
Yes.
minions still get no love. All right, cool. Next ability.
All right. Are we ready for the third thing? The third thing,
third thing.
Inspire. Is that the third thing? No, that's actually the fourth thing. I'm really good at counting, everyone. Inspire. Of course, less healing here.
Yep.
But we are also doing that per level ability heal. This is also affecting her minion heal. And additionally, the buff on yourself and allies now includes a 20% attack speed buff for the duration of that heal over time,
Stay
the movement
schmoovin'.
speed as well.
Yeah. So it's almost, depending on the circumstances, one would argue that it might be more important to proc that for the attack speed buff than it is
Yeah.
for the
For the
heal itself.
healing, yeah.
So kind of just new ways to apply with that same gameplay.
Yeah, adds a second circumstance instead of just throw the heal out. It's now like, well, I could heal or I could pop it right away, get that auto attack.
Exactly.
So again, you've been saying, alternate pathways. I
Yes.
like it. I like
Last
it.
thing, promise, just one more thing.
Oh my god.
This one's really fun, though.
This
one
one is
is
really
fun,
fun.
yeah.
So switch stances, which is her ultimate ability, is now getting a decreased cooldown from 2 seconds to 1 second. And this is mostly to line up with our other stance switchers that have that 1 second cooldown. Hell had a 2 second cooldown, which made it a little bit more difficult for you to really get in that flow state. I know a lot of players of Hell will say, yeah, I'm just kind of pressing my buttons. Now you can press it a little bit faster going between those two
Yeah.
stances. And this is really to mirror most of those other stance switchers like your RDOs and your Ulers and characters that already had that 1 second.
Exactly.
Awesome.
consistent, but it's a buff. It'll feel good.
Oh, yeah.
It does feel good. It does feel good, I promise.
They would know. These are our playtest gurus. So when they're like, it
It's
feels
true.
good, it's because they've tested it. So, all right, well, cool. So we're going to continue moving down the list. Yamoja, as to be expected,
All
getting
right,
some
Clumsy.
changes in a
There you
healing
go.
patch.
Now's your time.
There you go.
I'm trying to think how long I want my preamble to be here, or
fine.
my explanation.
Like
So,
30 minutes or less.
Yamoja is the last of the tier 1 healers.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, when you compare Yamoja to Hel and Aphrodite, she actually relies on healing the least.
Yeah.
We've already changed kind of the healing amplification on her kind of passive basic attacks. The only thing she has is Mending Waters that does shielding as well as healing. You know, there were discussions on whether we even thought it would be as important to have this be a healing ability at all. Like maybe that's the shift we do. We just go crazier gameplay changes because Yamoja, obviously, you know, everyone at Hi-Rez on the design team, we're all well aware of how she performs.
The
right?
paradox.
The paradox that
Paradox.
is Yamoja. And so this, hopefully this will satisfy you guys. Maybe it won't, but all we're doing for Yamoja is actually going to be doing small healing decreases. Again, getting rid of that scaling. It's going to be a flat amount. She's not even going to be getting that per level increase. We're increasing her shield health. We're increasing the damage on the AO2. It's all very focused on the AO2.
Okay.
But on that second ability. But we really want to keep our eyes on her, and this is kind of our way of just saying, like, hey, you know, we are happy with Yamoja. We know that there's a world where she doesn't necessarily need heavy level reworks, but we are very, very curious to see in this new healing world how she actually shifts in her gameplay. Because again, she doesn't actually rely on healing as much as these other tier 1 healers. Obviously, it is important, but there's going to be a lot of changes going on with all of healing, and let's see how this shakes out. Because again, it's not just the healing on her, but it's also with the world where the shield reduction effects are also going to be affecting Yamoja in a negative way.
Yeah.
So that's almost another nerf that we need to keep in mind of as well. So, you know, again, this is just kind of our way on the design team to say, like, we understand Yamoja is an interesting point of contention.
Very much so.
And we're going to continue keeping extremely heavy eyes on her to see how the best way to move forward with her in future patches.
Cool. Awesome. Well, sounds good. And again, I mean, yeah, like with everything, we'll be keeping an eye on how they work in the game, what the community feels, and the feedback we get from y'all. So send it in. Always an incredibly valuable source of helping us fine-tune some of these crazy big changes. So,
and
nice.
I think that was important because some of these tier 2 healers are getting some really spicy
These
stuff,
are
and I
so
didn't
fun.
want anyone to think that we like forgot about Yamoja or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just, we wanted to make sure that before we do any crazy spicy changes to Yamoja, we knew the right direction where she was going to live, because she's kind of just the hardest one to judge out of all of these.
For sure.
So let's get into some spicy tier 2
Woo!
healers.
All
Let's do
right,
it.
tier
And let's
1,
start with,
done.
Yeah, tier 1, done. Tier 2, Sylvanas, let's go.
Let's start this by posing a question.
Question.
Does anyone remember Release Sylvanas?
Oh yes.
I remember Release Sylvanas.
It's been
I
a
remember.
Do you remember?
So,
I
the change for Sylvanas here is that, of course, the Wisps are not going to be healing as much.
That's it, right?
But
Okay.
But we have something special here. Wisps will now heal the minions. Once
Love
again,
for the minions?
Once again, he is
No.
able to heal the minions, as was in years past. Oh my gosh, she's so old.
What
I'm
a
trying to
world.
remember when he came out, but that makes me feel old.
Pointing
Anyway,
out something or another, yeah.
so, for those who know the deeper breakdown of Sylvanas Wisps is that there is a burst heal at the beginning. Minions are not getting that, and they're also going to
Yes,
be,
that's
taking a little bit less than they normally would. I phrased that so weird. Players will be taking the most.
More
Minions will be
than
taking less, and they also will not be getting that initial burst heal at the beginning.
Yep. And the enemy minions are going to be damaged too.
Yes, yes. So,
So bringing
a little
that
bit of both.
bringing that spice in. But yeah, it's also for a very small amount. We definitely play tested with numbers. We play tested. If you're curious, we play tested with 50%, and that was pretty crazy because you're affecting so many more targets than you were previously.
Yeah, that's a
Also,
lot.
we thought about the passive. You know, there was a world where all of the minions proc the passive.
That's a lot of
Wisp,
seeds.
yeah, Wisp specifically would have broken this. This
Yeah.
entire change would have broken with that. So Wisps will not be proccing the passive seeds. Only for the minion hits, of course.
Yeah.
The new minion hits. That have been
Yes.
added.
Well, that was spicy. All right, we got to keep moving.
Oh, it just gets, I mean,
It
this
just
next one's
keeps
really
going
spicy.
spicy. All right, Changa, what's the spicy change there?
All right, so some shifts here, obviously.
Yeah.
Moonflower
course.
Dance, we're going to be decreasing the healing. No longer getting the magical power scale. I'm going to keep saying that every time I can because that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
But also, a little bit weird here is we're removing the healing reduction debuff. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be a little bit sad about that, but we're shifting it to a completely new component, which, one could argue is another component to our passive. But hey, that's the way it is. Where all of our damaging abilities will now be applying this new debuff to enemy gods, which increases Changa's damage dealt to them specifically with future abilities. stacking up to 3 times.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's a new debuff replacing the healing reduction, where her 1, her 3, and her 4 will now be dealing extra damage every time you hit gods, with that debuff on them.
Yep.
Got it.
So first ability, not going to be doing anything new. It's just going to apply that debuff. But the more that you smack people, the more that you have cooldown as well, the faster that you're going to be able to keep up this debuff and keep that damage increase going. And again,
only for
Chunga.
Exactly.
Got
only
it.
for Chunga.
We're on the same page for that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't think it's
Only for
everyone on your
Chunga.
team.
That would be a lot.
Yeah, that would be a bit much.
Cool. All right. Well, let's keep the party rolling with Ra.
Ra is an interesting case, right? Because he
the
has
bird.
Solar Blessing, which requires you to stand still. It's not the biggest heal in the world, but it
Yeah.
still is significant in those situations where it matters, like assault, like
Oh,
in
yeah,
team
for
fights,
assault, for sure.
things like that. So again, heals going down. No more magical power scaling. We're
Right.
increasing the protections buff, and we're increasing the power buff for both physical and magical.
Yep.
Cooldowns going down. Mana's going down, or mana cost is going down. And then we get to the really spicy thing, which is Searing Pain. Change coming to this is that the power scaling is going down, but
By 5, it's tiny. It's
By
tiny.
5.
It's not huge, but
there is now a new component of this ability's damage that deals true damage equal to 5% of the target's max HP to enemy gods only.
So this was going to be a lot better for getting kind of those bigger hits against not just squishies, but also those tanks as well.
Tanks, yeah.
It's enemy gods, so you're not going to be like absolutely destroying fire giants or anything with this. Although
Yeah.
we did consider it, but that would have been
It was
we
really
did the
good.
math. The math was like no.
the math
So-
was like
The math said no.
So a lot of interesting changes with there. But yeah, Solar Blessing kind of more exacerbating on that utility feel, that power, that amp, that
Yeah.
protections, and kind of new component with Searing Pain.
That's crazy. Scarier, loud laser beams. So looking forward to that. Next up, Guan Yu. I feel like we've talked about Guan Yu a little bit already. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
and this one's also quite interesting because it's not a lot of changes. We're not going through a massive chist, but the ones
Yeah.
that are there are pretty big. So Conviction, the heal again, is going to be decreased. It never had a scaling component before, and so it's kind of the easiest nerf. I was just like calculator,
know.
easy. And then so I guess. No, I'm not going to preamble that. That's a whole different piece. All right, maybe we'll talk about them in depth Q&A.
There
Don't
you
even know what
go.
I'm talking about right now. Scaling, how we formulated scaling and those nerfs is definitely a good thing to talk about at the Q&A.
Yes.
But Conviction, it's now going to be providing 1 second flat CDR immediately to your allied gods that are healed.
Okay.
So this will not affect yourself, so it is not a self buff because Guan Yu already gets
he
that
already
had
on the
that.
healing. So
Yeah, it's already
he gets
there. Now.
Exactly. He gets a 2 second flat cooldown reduction for himself. Now he's going to be doing half of that for allies around
his
him.
friends, yeah.
So it's not a big buff for him in lane or anything like that, but that's why the second buff, which is Talu Assault, is going to be increasing the stack shred and the steel from 3 to 4 stacks. So that will always be helpful.
Cool. Yeah, always super helpful. I don't know why. I was just like, with all the jokes, I was sitting here like, I would love if they were like Conviction. Now it scales on power. And that was the only change.
It's the only
It's
one.
like,
yeah.
wait, what?
Huh?
So it doesn't do that. So it's all up in here. Terra coming up next. We got the buff lady getting some changes too.
Yeah, Terra's another one of those healers that has multiple abilities, so we're going to be talking about a couple here. So first things first, we got Monolith for 3. Going to be healing for less, but it's also going to be providing protections now if you're standing in.
Yeah.
So a little bit more important to protect that Monolith in lane, or maybe you even want to just have it hang around a little bit longer instead of shattering it right away.
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefits of just having it sitting there and you standing within it. That's step number 1, right? But Earth and Fury, ultimate time. The heal
Ooh, ultimate
is
time.
going down quite a lot here. The heal over time is now just completely gone, which is a very big change. But to trade off for that, we're also going to be increasing the damage mitigation that allies are getting when they're affected by those stones from 5% to 10%. So doubling the
That is a
mitigation
lot,
for no heal
yeah.
over time.
Right. So this one's also really interesting because we could have just decreased the heal over time, but at that point there was an argument of like, well, maybe this is kind of at the pro angle, but these are things we need to think about too, where you could just onk anyone, right? Like Terra using her ulti is actually an absolute negative if anyone is using onk because it actually just puts an immediate target on their back and makes them take more damage. So by removing the heal over time completely and focusing on these other effects like the damage mitigation, it's actually almost like a net buff in most circumstances.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it removes an element of counterplay that existed relatively readably earlier.
Yeah.
So
But if you proc that the heal from the stones all being depleted, you still get the benefit of an onk. So it's not a bad thing to do for her, and she's obviously got multiple ways of healing.
of
so that's
course.
good.
So cool. All right. So this next one we released a little teaser of. This is
Yeah, this one broke the internet.
This
huh?
one broke the internet a little bit. Let's talk about Anubis and how he's got them legs on him.
Yeah, so Anubis, is again falls into a category of gods. So yeah, we are out of the tier
Yeah, we are
healers.
out of the
So I
tier
guess
healers, yeah.
the clumsy preamble for this one is we're going to be just talking about a few gods. In fact, there's a few on our list, and I think we're going to go and try and think of a few other ones. Just as kind of the spicy ones. Again, we're going to talk about
Yeah,
you
of
guys.
course.
You guys can all see the patch notes, and if you want to ask questions later on in the dev Q&A, please do so. But there's a couple of gods who rely on self-healing a little bit more. So we didn't want to exclude them from the list. We wanted to do a holistic list of all the different characters that can heal. So Anubis is passive, decrease healing, increase. So it's not even like healing itself. It's not lifesteal like Freya's is. But we even kept that in mind. But it was like, okay, well, what can we do for a god that cares so much about lifesteal, cares so much not just from the passive, but all these items that are being nerfed as well?
Yeah.
Well, we finally did it.
We did it.
Anubis can walk during
Anubis
Plague
can
of
walk.
Locusts. It's going to be at 50% movement speed, so he's not zooming at 100.
Yeah, he's not
But I
running
mean,
everywhere.
hey, we can make that happen, you know. Also, it's a side buff for this one. The ability is actually going to be ticking twice as fast. So instead of ticking at every 0.5 seconds, it's now going to be ticking at 0.25 seconds, which actually also procs his passive faster as well.
Yeah.
So in a way, that itself, you could argue, is definitely just a buff. Also, any of the damage decreases you see here is purely cutting it in half. He's not really going to be receiving any damage nerfs throughout this. It's the same net amount of damage.
Yeah, it's just applied in more frequent ticks.
Yes.
So cool. Well, yeah, that's just a spicy one. I am not prepared to be hanging out unsuspecting in arena or assault and just watch him. So not ready for that.
The first thing one of my friends mentioned when they saw the teaser was like, Anubis jungle is back.
It never left.
It never left.
All right, cool. Well, we have a Marty party to talk about next.
Is it a
our
party?
boy Martikos. No, it's
not a party.
So,
Party for everyone
It's your
else.
boy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, your baby.
He's been out for one patch, and now I got to nerf him. I guess that's the way it is when you have a character that's so dependent on lifesteal. And Martikos' passive really is monstrosity. He's just getting nerfs across the board because he was performing a little bit stronger than we would like for gods to be. So we're taking him down a bit with this. No buffs here in compensation. This is just lifesteal's going down from 1% per monstrosity stack that you're getting to 0.7%. So again, just less lifesteal overall. And then Poison Barb. This is also kind of going to reflect on a different change.
I'm closing my eyes and I'm like, there's
Another
so many
preamble?
few small things that like I want to make sure that we address. Yes. So continue your statement first.
Yes. Well, Poison Barb is going to get decreased healing reduction from 50% to 40%, and now you may begin.
Yeah, and so
And
well,
so.
once again,
Thusly.
so we talked about how anti-heal is going to have a cap from, it's the 100%, which it technically was, to 80%. One of the other things that we're doing as well is for god abilities specifically that had healing reduction at 50%, they're all being reduced down to 40%.
Except for one, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we can get to him later. But
We'll get there.
Flash. But yeah, he's
special.
different. He's
Yeah.
special. So that's another thing. And also to keep in mind, because we didn't talk about it for items, I don't have the exact numbers on the top of my head, but they are written down somewhere, is that there's a now reduced cap for physical and magical lifesteal on items as well. So you can't just, no matter what, we have kind of a new balance knob to tweak. It kind of was there before, but now it's a lot more easier for us to access, and now it is a lot more purposeful. So you can hit magical cap. Magical lifesteal cap, physical lifesteal cap, so keep that in mind. Those do now exist.
Got it. All right, cool. So we have one more of the big noted before we go over a few of the other special cases, but one more big notable god on the list.
Go ahead. I'm going to start looking for some of the other spicy ones.
Oh, yeah.
Go for it. We got Thana.
Thanatos.
Thana on deck.
Well, so Thanatos' big thing is that his abilities cost a bit of health, right?
They do.
So he's also got a little bit of healing to compensate between his passive, between obviously Death Scythe, which is his bread and butter.
Yeah.
Especially if you're using Thanatos.
I get it.
First things first, let's talk about general. So, of course, again, we were talking about how his abilities cost health. Well, now they're going to cost 4% of your health. Instead of 5% for the ultimate, it's going to 8% from 10% of your health. So just less health cost per ability because you are, of course, getting less back. Now we move on to the passive, Harvester of Souls. You're going to be getting less health from the Souls of Gods as well as less health from the Souls of Minions. And that's just a straight up nerf. But Death Scythe, again, going back to that bread and butter, getting a decreased cooldown by 1. And then, of course, it's now getting this decreased healing as well. So it is now no longer healing you in return for 75%. It's now healing instead for 50% of whatever damage you dealt with that ability.
Okay.
But moving forward, we got to get some more buffs in there, right?
We do.
Soul Reap. The third ability is getting a decreased cooldown by 1 second, and then going forward once again to Hovering Death. The base damage is going up, and the stun duration is also increasing by 0.5 seconds. That's not insignificant.
That is not at all insignificant.
Yeah, so that's going to feel really good. For those times where you want to use it to engage and not necessarily execute, that's going to give you an even bigger opportunity to really turn those fights around.
Yeah, to really make the play happen.
Oh,
so, that's a lot of Thana changes. So.
Yeah, he needed it.
He did.
That's the first time Thanatos has had balance in like 3 years, by the way.
Yeah, and again, obviously he's one of those gods similar to Anubis, although probably more important, that relies on healing, right? That's kind of his entire gimmick.
That's the thing.
And it's not like the healing nerfs we did is going to completely remove healing being important for Thanatos at all, but we wanted to make sure he got shifts because he didn't deserve just nerfs.
Yeah, he didn't deserve to be axed, so just a little back and forth.
He's got a scythe, not an axe.
I'm sorry.
Hey, nice.
I'm done here, by the way. She's taking over for the next show, so it was good. But all right, so what additional special cases did you dig up that you wanted to talk about?
Try to think of any of these on the top of your mind. I'm going to just like go through the list slightly.
Let's rattle off a few
just some
of
random
them.
ones. Like you mentioned Upwash, so I think that was an important one.
Okay.
Upwash is the only god that didn't have his anti-heal nerf because he had 2 different ways of applying anti-heal. He is the only one that can kind of reach that new cap all by himself. So
Yeah, he's the true anti-healer.
And I'm not going to talk about all the different changes for these gods, but obviously like Upwash had some healing. He's going to have some shifts on that regardless. Another one that's pretty interesting is Arachne. Obviously, she's got some healing changes. Again, I'm not going to go through that here. These are kind of the extra stuff. Venomous Bite now actually applies the anti-heal debuff. So Arachne will be gaining anti-heal as well as the changes. Also, Cocoon. When targets are successfully stunned by Cocoon, the second ability, they'll have their active cooldowns increased by a flat 2 seconds.
Brand new effect.
So this is the first time we're actually increasing active cooldowns, and this is not like the Abyssal Stone where it's kind of just like future cooldowns being changed.
Yep.
Bakasura also going to be getting anti-heal on his takedown ability. So, you know, we're not kind of putting anti-heal everywhere, but we wanted to find some new places to kind of, you know, keep anti-heal as an important effect into the game. Also, Eat Minion being, you know, is going to be getting a cooldown decrease from 15 seconds to 8 seconds. So kind of cutting that in half. That's going to have some pretty big gameplay implications. Camazotz is going to get a whole kind of Thanatos levels of changes because of the amount of healing that he does. Chalk's damage on his ulti increasing. Probably not as spicy, but I just want to make sure that we don't miss anything.
A lot of these self-healers and, you know, not healers that affect really a large portion of other players in the game are getting, you know, smaller changes. Some of them are spicier, like Anubis, who was really focused on healing as his like core aspect. But some of these other guys that just, you know, I heal when I hit things like Achilles.
Yeah.
Not so much of a change.
Hades ulti, he's going to get that cooldown reduction per hit doubled from 0.2 seconds per hit to 0.4 seconds. So that's pretty exciting. Neat's getting some changes as well, whether it's her general health, her spirit arrow root increasing.
That's going to feel
in
nice.
duration, or even the backflip getting a small slow increase as well too.
Yeah, but I know that we don't have graphics for these right now, but again, all of these are listed on the patch notes. We'll be talking about them in the
It says on the bottom right there. Make sure to
I
check
just
it
wanted
out.
to talk about some of the super spicy ones. I know Vamana is going to be getting some decent changes there with his base attack speed, the Sleeping Giant passive conversion, so he's going to get even more physical protections and attack speed conversions.
Yeah, even though he doesn't have healing, he has that lifesteal.
Exactly. Yeah, he does. And because even though he's got that lifesteal, that lifesteal is also going to be nerfed alongside with these changes, so he's going to be gaining increased power and protections as well from that ultimate. So some spicy stuff there. A lot of things that we're really excited to see how the meta is going to shake out with the healing reduction, with just the god changes that we're doing here, with the new items as well.
Yeah. So absolutely crazy.
so many different things.
So many different things. And again, like we didn't go over everything. It said so right at the bottom of the screen. Go check out the update notes for a more in-depth view of everything. You got the numbers. You have what all is changing. But we wanted to be done with the show before the natural end of the decay of our star. Yeah. So just lots of stuff that we went over. Super cool. And there's still a little bit more before the show is over. So next up is something that y'all might have seen a while ago. We talked about this a little earlier, but another event coming with this update is the community calendar event. Something y'all are familiar with. What?
It's back.
It's back. It is back. We're super excited for it. So what this is we put out a contest a while ago to have people submit art to be part of this free event. And we selected winners. We let them know. And now is their time for their beautiful art to be in-game. And in fact, there's 8 pieces of art in-game. As you're about to see here. We're super excited. So for those of you who aren't familiar, we have 2 jump stamps, 2 global emotes, and 4 avatars, all completely incredible. And the skin that you see in the background is actually Witch Seeker Amaterasu, a free skin in this event. And the way this event works, if you are not familiar, is once the patch starts, you will have 2 weeks to play 1 game every day for free rewards. So you will earn boosters, you'll earn a whole bunch of different stuff, including all 8 of those fabulous fan-made cosmetics you'll see there. And these were made by, we should be tweeting about all of the beautiful people with their ats as well as putting it on the update notes. It's all there. So make sure to check it out. But if you play for at least 6 of those days, you will also be getting the Witch Seeker Amaterasu skin, which is in the background, but there it is in full beautiful glory.
Nice.
So an absolutely fantastic skin. Shame AJ couldn't be here to dote over it. But it's just absolutely incredible. And again, all of this is completely free. So when the event launches with the update, you will have 2 weeks for the duration of the event to play 1 game a day. Win, lose, or in between, just hop on, play a game with your friends, play a game solo, queue some arena, and earn free rewards. And with at least 6 of them, this skin is yours for free as a celebration of Smite. So super excited for that. Make sure y'all get in to check it out. And a big congratulations to all of our incredible community artists. Again, their art is featured with respects paid to them on our update notes. I've been talking for so long, my brain is rotting. On Twitter on our update notes, because we love y'all. We love the hard work you do. Our artists are incredible. So thank you so much. So yeah, now I'm going to do more talking, as if that's a good idea. Sorry, y'all. About some quality of life changes that we just think are really, really cool, and we wanted to let y'all know. So it's like a speed round. Ready? Here we go. First up, ranked reset for Year 10 Season 2. Classic ranked reset, MMR changes, values and rank. You can see all the information down there, but just a ranked reset. We're looking forward to it. Part of the jump into the new season for Year 10 with Season 2, so excited to see that. A bit of an update to the way commendations work, also coming to the game. So the time limit has been changed a little bit, but the amount between commendations has been reduced. And the change to this is also to help people party up more. If you played with somebody you really liked and commended them post the game, there is the option to commend and then maybe try to join a team with each other and play for a while, queue up for a little bit, maybe make some new friends in the Smite community. So a super cool change there. There's also ranked split reward increase. This is just an overall plus side for everybody. But the 15-win split reward in ranked now gives Godlike chest with updated and expanded rewards, while the 50-win split reward has been increased from 50 to 100 gems. Get the split, earn more stuff. I don't know what else to say. It's just all good stuff. We like giving you more things. Happy birthday. And then finally, Marty got a haircut.
Let's go.
Yeah, right, Pog. So and we actually, I believe we can show you right now, Marticarus just got a haircut. A little bit of a texture update just to show off those beautiful locks. So looking absolutely fierce on the battleground, kind of settled in, you know.
Oh yeah, now that he's here, I mean, he's got to be looking good. And
yeah,
this
right?
looks mighty fine. Really happy to see that.
Exactly. Showed up to the party and was like, you know, my suit, I could just update the drip a little bit now that I've relaxed into the battleground.
For all the Manticores out there, he is the drippiest.
Yeah, that's true. The absolute drippiest. And when you've been eating as many gods with a diet of exclusively gods and minions, like the flourish, the shine in the hair, it's all bound to be there.
It looks real nice.
Super nice. All right, so we did it. We did it. We made it. We made it through an incredible. That's it. Yeah, that is the Season of Hope. There's so many things we were so excited to share. And as y'all saw, we've changed up the way we're doing the update show a little bit. So please give us feedback on that, on the healing changes as y'all experience them, on everything, because we're trying to shake it up in Year 10, and we're having so much fun with it. We hope y'all are too. Some things to think about as the show ends is PTS for one. Who wants to wait till Friday to play PTS? PTS should be up before. It'll be up soon. It'll be up today.
Hell yeah.
And mighty soon. So keep your eyes open for that. Yeah, right? So, because, I mean, y'all saw how much stuff there was. We want as much of your feedback as possible right away. So get in, test it out, let us know what you think. But that's not all. As we mentioned earlier, as soon as this show ends, we're going to be jumping into, like a minute or two after the show ends, you know what I mean? We're going to be jumping into the fan art show with Ina talking about, the Fenrawr XD skin that y'all saw earlier. And so just make sure to hang out and check out the fan art show, or the Hi-Rez art show, because we always love that. And then last but not least, as we mentioned earlier, again, that show's going to end, art's going to be talked about, and then we have some beautiful devs here who are going to be hanging out with y'all, answering questions, and really getting into that deep dive for 10-3, the Season of Hope. So many things that we've gone over already, so many more to go over, and we're really just looking forward to y'all's feedback and hoping that y'all love it and that we can continue to make Smite the best it has ever been in Year 10. So thank y'all so absolutely much. Thank y'all for joining me on the show and talking through all the crazy stuff. And we have a little video to end on for y'all. So until next time, catch you later.
Right on time.
Together now!
Your fate is sealed!
I've got some tricks up my sleeve.
unlimited power.
This might hurt. In darkness, there is hope.
Keep reading between the lines. There's nothing there for you to complicate. We're not aligned. You say you listen, but guessing that's just another sign of growing up. You're growing old. You laugh, keep passing by. Rise up now. If you never fall, you don't change at all. Cry out now. Have you given up? I will never stop. I can take it, I don't need a prize. Leave out the fact that I am up against 1,000 guys. My intuition efficient, cause I can use my mind. Don't try to tell me how it's done, you haven't done your time. Rise up now. If you never fall, you don't change at all. Cry out now. Have you given up? I will never stop.
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? It's me, your deaf mom, Anna Buns. Welcome to this Smite Art Show or whatever. Joining me today is Danny. Danny, say hi.
Hey.
Oh my god, no, we're kidding. We love you guys so much. We're so interested in being here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Smite Art Show. You guys are probably wondering, why are we dressed so fashionably and so amazingly? I know, New York Fashion Week could never. We actually have a treat for you guys. After we go over all of the amazing community art that we have today, we're going to be also showing you guys some really cool backstory process of Fenrawr XD.
Yeah.
Sweet baby angel, that skin. And what's really cool is that Danny's actually a concept artist for Hi-Rez. He's fairly new, but he's been killing it. He's been slaying it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Danny. When did you start and everything?
I started really pursuing art maybe like 3-4 years ago, and then kind of just dove into it. I was in a different part of my life, but wanted to switch gears and do something I was super passionate about.
Yeah. And you're liking Hi-Rez? You feel good?
I love it. I mean,
should.
The people here are amazing. Anna's amazing.
Hey.
The art's amazing.
And you're amazing. He seriously has some amazing skins coming out. If you guys haven't seen them, we have a few. You don't have a specific skin out just yet, right?
But they're coming out.
They're coming out. Oh my God, guys, you guys, Hi-Rez Art Show, the Art Show Twitter, we're going to go crazy with showing off Danny's artwork. But anyway, we're here for one specific thing. And it's not just to look awesome. It's to go over y'all's amazing artwork. So let's get into it right now. Let's stop gibber-gabbering or whatever the term is. I don't know. I can't do the emo thing.
Let's go.
Whatever. Let's get into it. First one up, guys, on the docket. We have this beautiful Danzaburo, and this is by Bomi Danuki, and this is, his version of like a blue demon.
This is sick.
Isn't this
am a
great?
sucker for like Onis and Japanese stuff, so I love this design.
It's so good. It looks amazing. I love the blueness to it because I don't think we really have like a lot of blue for Danzaburo. He's very much like bright colors and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's so good to see him in like bluish tones.
Yes, this is great.
Yes. I think specifically the title of this was Blue Lantern Demon. So
I love it.
Thank you so much, Bomi Danuki. Moving on, we have Blood Raven Horus by Chirping Arts. Yeah.
This skin just came out.
Yo, this one made the rounds on Twitter. Everybody was loving this.
This is sick.
It's
I actually
so
got to
good.
help out on this skin, so I'm
You
really
did?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that someone's doing this.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I'm so happy you're here then because like
Yeah.
this is your baby, part of your baby.
Yeah, part of my baby. This is so sick. Thank you so much.
Oh my god, Chirping Hearts, thank you for this wonderful piece. This one is Monster Cryptus by Dapio Art. This one also did its rounds. It did very well. Everybody was really digging it because like Cryptus is a monster already. How can you monsterify her more? Make her a really cool goblin swamp type creature, I guess?
Yeah, I love how they put the environment in this piece and like the texturing on the skin. A lot of attention to detail here.
It looks
So
amazing.
sweet.
And also we love a background.
Oh, I just noticed the little like alligator in the bottom. That's so cool.
I love it so much. We again, like background and all these elements that they added to it really makes the character pop and really gives you like a sense of their environment, you know, obviously. So thank you so much, Dapio Art. Moving on, we've got I don't know how to say this word. Is it Elrich or Elric? Elric? I'm so sorry. This is by Goblin Hotel, and it's Elric or Elrich Hunter. Hell, I apologize. Thank you for sticking with me on that. This is really neat. I love this.
Man, look at are those eyes on the torso?
Yes.
That is really cool.
We've been doing a lot of eyes. There's been some gods that we just stick eyeballs onto their
We love
bodies.
eyes.
Big
Show
fan.
me your best eyes.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here, honestly.
never mind.
I snuck into the studio. This isn't real. Thank you so much for this concept. It's amazing, not only in its effectiveness to be super creepy on the dark hell side, but also in her her lighter hell side. It's also very well concepted out too. The silhouette is amazing. Moving on, we've got this one. Speaking of hell, there's so much hell going on. Pardon my French. This one is by Kroll Kushi. This is another hell piece. This is their redesign.
Wow, look at that. That is really cool.
This is their interpretation of hell and like a redesign of her, which personally I love this. I think that would be really sick.
Yeah, this is really great. The render on here is amazing. The treatment on like the fur. Wow.
Yeah, the fur is insane. Also, I just really like the fact that her dark side is skull and like dead and decaying because that's what the lore is, right? Thank you so much, Kroll Kushi, for this excellent hell piece. Moving on to the next piece. I think we've had a bit of Manticora's artwork, and this was one of my favorites. I loved it. It's by Mo Marrow.
Ooh.
He's growling. He's just doing his thing.
I love this god so much. Like
Me
the
too.
green just pops on the design.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
He's hot too. He's kind of fine. I'm not gonna lie. When we were going through the card art concepts and stuff, the team was like, "Please shut up," and I'm just like, "Oh my god, he's fine as hell, damn."
Yeah. The cinematic came out and you were like, "He's handsome."
Yeah, I was like, he can throw green gems at me all day, daddy. All right, moving on because we're gonna get into weird territory like we always do. Thank you so much, Mo Marrow, for that piece. We're gonna move on to this next one. This is by Nikomata Coffee, and this is Season of Monsters Nox. So this was for the challenge that we posted on our Twitter, which is like create or monsterify a Smite god to your liking for Season of Monsters.
Yeah, this is great. It's beautiful.
Isn't this beautiful?
Yeah, it's such a great take on monsters too, because monsters don't have to be like crazy and dark all the time.
Not
They
at
can
all.
Be a work of art, beauty. You know, like this is great.
Flowers and everything. I mean,
Yes.
Persephone is like covered in flowers, but skulls at the same time. Like she's sick. I love her so much. But my personal favorite thing about this is the rib cage. The fact that they made it see-through and then like succulents and various flora and fauna within it.
It's
I thought
such
that was
a
cool.
unique idea.
Isn't that neat?
Ooh, yeah.
Thank you so much, Nikomata Coffee. This one is excellent. We loved it so much. This is the next piece we have from one of our favorites, another favorites. We just have so many favorites. We love everybody. This is by Shadow Stormy. Stormy, big shout out. Love you, baby. This is just sisters. This is Scylla and Charybdis just hanging out.
Look at the clean lines on this one.
Oh my god, they're so clean with their lines. I love all of their work.
This is awesome.
This is so good.
And the attitude, I love the just the facial expression.
Sometimes I really like some of my favorite artists when they show Smite gods just literally sitting down or something. Like,
yeah.
You don't always have to be
just
in action
chilling
pose.
Out. Yeah.
Because it's
chill
really
too.
neat. Yeah. It's just neat to see them like that because they're such imposing, like creepy or terrifying, characters. So, I love this. Thank you so much, Shadow Stormy.
Thank you.
Moving on to this next one, another OG from Smite community. We have this one by Smite VSBT. This piece, yes. Get a load of this.
Yes, there's so much happening.
Isn't this amazing?
Here. I love it. Yeah.
This is also for Season of Monsters, the little challenge that we put out. This is a monster-fied Cirquette. I mean, Cirquette's already pretty scary, but to add the full body too, like, woo.
Yeah, just look at the jewelry elements on like the tail and then like the chain going up the back. This is so cool.
The tattoo, honestly, like I would love to see this be an actual skin. Wouldn't it be neat? Like,
that would be really cool.
All of the modelers and animators at Hi-Rez are yelling right now, like, no, no extra bones, like, please, God.
We want to make a jiggle, but we can't.
Oh, the jiggle graphics are there, honey. Don't you worry about that. Oh my God, somebody call Brendan Fraser, help me, save me from this beautiful scorpion queen. Thank you so much, Smite VSBT. We love you, baby. Moving on, we've got this next piece, which I thought was super, super cute. It's a far departure from what we have been seeing with a lot of these monster and badass like depictions of the gods. This next one is by X Lichu, and it's just like, isn't it soft?
Nice.
It's so sweet.
Yeah, so cozy.
I think it's Sol, Amaterasu, Bologna, and I think Discordia at the bottom center there.
Cool.
And they're all watching Dream Daddy, which I wish was a thing. Spam the chat, Dream Daddy.
Yeah, what books do they have on the bookshelf?
I know, right? I kind of want to see.
Isn't there actual room?
Like pinups of Zeus or something. I love the Thor poster that they put up there too, the Thor wedding.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, X Lichu. A nice little reprieve from all of the horrifying monsters that we've been seeing. Moving on, we finally made it, y'all, to the pick of the show.
Oh, man.
Are you ready?
I'm so ready. Let's go.
Okay, no, we got to be cool, all right? This is emo,
I'm not
right?
excited.
Whatever, it's whatever. No, it's not. It's not whatever. It's amazing. This next one is by Pi the Unusual, pick of the show. Look at this.
Yeah, wow. Look at that.
Isn't it amazing?
This is awesome. The color.
So this is obviously Bakasura, but they did something so simple and they just added extra limbs to him, and it obviously, like, the guts coming out and just the pose itself are so cool, and their use of black as well.
Yes, yeah, there are different line weights on here. It is really nice. It's popping.
That's stunning.
Yeah.
I love the art, or I love the color of it, and I love the pose. Again, the guts, big fan.
Yeah, this is just jumping out at you.
Yeah.
I love this one.
Also, that hand, what the hell? Like, who are you? Who draws hands anymore?
That hand is really nice.
Like, most of my concepts, I'm just like, nubs, like, get out of here. Oh my God, thank you so much, Pi the Unusual, and all of our amazing artists for giving us amazing art as always. Like, I can't think of another, like, what's another synonym for amazing? Because I always say amazing.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Incredible. The
Ridiculous.
best.
Oh my God. Thank you guys again for tuning in and watching all the amazing artwork that we had to show, and for tagging us. Continue doing that, please. But now we're finally going to get into it. Whatever.
So into it, yeah.
It's so into it. You wouldn't understand. He goes to a different school, but we're going to go into the creation of Fenrawr XD.
Right.
Oh my God, look at him.
Look at him.
I'm sorry if I'm yelling in the mic, but this is my first time seeing this. Look at him.
Pretty sick.
And by the way, this is my baby.
This is your baby.
This is my baby.
I remember when you were working on this. I was so excited.
Oh my God. But okay, so this is Fenrawr XD, y'all, ladies and gentlemen and jelly spoons. Look at him, little precious angel baby.
Oh, the gauges, the detail that you put into this, like the drawings on the shoes.
Dude,
it's just incredible.
Anytime I do a concept, I don't consider it done until like the animation and the rigging team puts their stank on it and makes it look super good.
They do such a great job bringing these characters to life. Yeah.
It's such a cooperative thing where I just like I see them when they bring my characters to life. That's when I'm like, oh, I've done it. We've all done it. It's amazing.
Man, all the little bits of story in here.
I know. My Canine Romance. I know some of y'all might be too young. Well, no, actually, no, because My Chemical Romance is coming back big time.
Yeah,
Gerard
they're
Way
still
is
coming
out.
out with stuff, yeah.
But yeah, My Canine Romance. So yeah, guys, we're going to go ahead and just do a deep little thing, a deep dive. I want to show you guys the first ever iteration of Fenrawr, and this was years ago. I think this was like maybe 6 years ago. Look at this. Look how messy that is.
This is 6 years ago? What do you mean it's messy?
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
God. It was my
it.
little baby, and I was like, oh, this would be really funny. I don't know what spurred it, but I think I drew this during a meeting where I was like, oh, this would be sick. And then I put it into our, we have like a skin slides, and it just died there for years. And then I want to give a shout out to Ashley Barrett, who she was a producer here, one of the best. And she actually fought for this skin because me and her would have conversations, and she was always, I love that girl to death.
She's pretty amazing, yeah.
Because she's the one that was like, nah, we're getting this skin done. We're doing this. And she pushed for it. And so I went ahead, and if we can go to the next slide, I actually have the full-fledged concept, as we call the orthos. Where we put the line art to make sure it fits within the constraints of the model. So this is what we have. And can I tell you, I had so much fun doing this.
It's beautiful.
Oh my God.
You were beaming when you were working on this.
Yeah. It's my baby. I love it. I hope you guys know that that's like most of us in concept art. We just like really dig and like support each other. And it's so much fun when we see all of our hard work come to fruition. So yeah. That's him. Look at him.
You hit this one out of the park, though. We were like, this is so amazing.
Thanks, Daddy. Yeah. My favorite are like all the bands on him, the Fangarchy, the eel, because you remember back in like the day, it was those like plastic bands that had the lettering on it. Like, so I was like, oh, eel, because like emo, right? Oh man. So yeah, guys, this is my little baby. This is my Fenrawr.
Oh man.
The belt buckle I thought was great. I feel like I should have made it Tyr, since the lore has them both together, since Fenrir took Tyr's hand. But it was just gonna look like a bald dude.
Yeah.
I needed it to be something that you could be like, oh, that's Thor, and that's Thor.
That's amazing.
All right, guys, and we have like one more little tidbit, and then I promise I'll shut up. This next one is just some color iterations of, after we finally got all of the details ready. It's like, oh, these are some colors that could look really cool on him. Obviously, we went with like a version of 3 mixed with 1. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love this slide.
Oh, thanks, Daddy. So, yeah, that's my baby. And hopefully in the future we can have Danny on here again, and he can go over a skin that he likes, and we can do like these little fun segments.
Only if I get to dress like this all the time.
Don't you already?
Yeah, I do.
Like literally every meeting we're in, it's just this.
Yeah. With
we can't do it seriously. All right, guys, we've taken up enough of your time. Thank you so much for sticking through. Thank you so much for all of the amazing artwork. Season of Monsters has gone amazingly. Please keep tagging us and keep drawing. And please make sure to follow Danny. Danny, do you have a specific social media presence you'd like to?
I'm mostly on Instagram at diff.drawing. So those are my initials.
All right, we'll make a post so you guys can go ahead and follow Danny. He's got such amazing artwork up. And thanks again, y'all. It's been amazing and super like cool, rad, I guess, whatever.
It was okay.
Yeah, let's go to the mall and hang out outside.
Oh yeah.
For hours.
Totally.
Okay, love you.
I You had to do the desk.
You want me to rat out my
Not anymore. Just between us.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Dev Insight. And so we're doing sort of a post-show to the big old update show that we just did. Of course, we got Mike, Wormy, and Clumsy with me. 2 devs, 1 pro, 1 guy who talks about it, I guess. And we're going to sit and we're going to have some fun and answer some questions. So we're reading Twitch chat, so everyone be nice, or else I will personally ban you. And so if there's any specific questions in chat, we can get to those as we roll on through. First, though, Mike, give me some arching ideas of some pro vibes about the big update show that we just saw.
Well, I can't speak for other people, but we have had access for just a few days on the patch to scrim with it and kind of mess around and test things. I've been a huge fan of it. I think everything feels really good. The new HUD, I think it is a little tricky to get used to just because you're untraining years of muscle memory potentially.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, it totally messes with you, but I do like it. And the map looks really good, and to get some more corridors in there is nice.
Well, over on, is it just Duo side that has the new Chester stuff with the team behind?
Extra Chesters. Now they have
Well,
Chester
they're not.
Juniors.
Hold on now. They're not quite Chesters.
Right.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say what I call them though.
Is it against TOS?
I don't think so. I'll just go for it. I just call them the chesticles.
There's 5 of them.
That's fine.
You have the Chester and you have the chesticles.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's totally what the devs thought
Yeah.
they were going to be named.
Are you ready to be defending a whole new thing over on that side of the map?
I'm always in touch with the chesticles.
Well, look, you don't want the opposing squad to invade and
I actually dominate them. It's really it's fun to have a little support mechanic. Both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
At any time.
Your hands are everywhere.
Well, there's some scrims where we've gotten behind and then you kill them and I get like 60 gold per chest. I'm like, this is awesome. I love that. We should int more often.
You should. Yeah, that's a good mindset to have. I'm not answering questions about skins coming out for future Apollo. So if anyone has questions on this current 10.3 that's about to come out, we're happy to dive into some of those. But between Lermy and Clumsy, big sweeping healing changes.
Oh yeah.
Across this update. And with that, I don't know how many gods exactly were
70 or so. There were a
70
lot.
There's a
gods
list.
were
There's
affected
a
by
lot.
that.
Yeah, when we were writing this up, it just kept going.
Yeah, if you think about all of the gods in the game that are healers, okay, that's one subsection. But this includes every god that has any interaction with healing, lifesteal, any of that stuff. Had to touch them too, so it's quite a lot.
And we're already told we missed one
Dang
item,
it.
so I'm waiting for like the gods list, and don't worry, we're gonna get them.
Yeah, but look,
Yeah,
you're allowed a little leeway, right? There's so many things that get affected. With that, a couple new healing-esque items, right? Rejuvenating Heart, Last Gasp, Rejuvenating Heart, the basic attacks, abilities, Healing Dealt. You gain a stack of that. Eventually, it gets consumed by an ability.
The fun part is just the number of ways that you can now work with your healing, especially for those self-healers. Now they actually can kind of invest into those items a little bit more and feel like they have that extra impact. Like even, like you said on the patch notes show, for people who kind of just, dabble into healing. They have these extra options as well that, for certain characters have a lot of really cool synergies, and for some, it could just be a lot of fun to try it.
I do see. Production? Are you tossing up the question, or do you want me to? All right, production, toss up one of the questions. From Billy, in the back, who beat Lermy and I in a ranked game last night. By the way, we're not talking about it. Yeah, it was unfortunate. It was not Lermy and I's fault, though. I want to establish that.
Oh, okay.
Did not steamroll us. Favorite new item. So on the conversation of new items.
Ooh.
Do you 3 have a favorite new item coming out in 10.3?
I certainly do. I guess I'll get us started here.
If you have one,
you're gonna keep it secret. I was just like,
no.
I do. I'm not gonna tell you.
Well, I just didn't want to take the stage first if anyone felt particularly strongly about their item. But Sekhmet Scepter. That one's a very good. Did I take your item?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Clumsy. Anyway.
Well, maybe you'll like it for different reasons.
Yes, that's true. I like it on particularly Guan Yu, especially with his change to Conviction. Just being able to spam cooldowns. I don't know how many of you folks at home are big Omnipotence fans, but Guan Yu in that mode, you can get pretty close to feeling that way, you know, mashing all your buttons together because you're just refreshing all your cooldowns. It feels really fun, let me tell you. It's a good time.
That is the dream. Clumsy, you also liked Sekhmet's
Yeah, but I'm going to choose a different one. I was going to go for the one that I originally was going to choose because I don't want to do the same thing, which was Last Gasp.
Okay.
I mean, other than the name being pretty damn cool, I think one thing that's important when it comes to these items is not just the passives it gives you, but also the new stats, right? So this is a healing-oriented item that gives you a lot of power based on healing allies, but also just has 100 magical power and 200
That's
health.
a lot.
Like, those
That's a
stats
lot.
are pretty good. And then you're going to get a bonus of all the way potentially up to another 90 magical power. So, yeah, it's going to be
That's
a
Who
lot.
are you thinking? All right, who comes to mind? You think Last Gasp? Who's building this in your brain?
Well, in my mind, I'm trying to think of the different healers that don't just have to heal anymore. So I would still like to just try something like Hell, who can proc this in different ways, who can still heal allies, and who I will no longer be building to just be like a heal bot, right? I want to do damage Hell for sure.
Mike, any new items that you like?
I'm a big erosion guy.
Yeah.
I really like
That's
erosion.
good.
I think on the physical side of things, I really like CAD Club, the new one. The aura I think is really cool, having a CCR and movement speed aura. I like going fast, so going fast is nice.
Going fast.
So you're gonna go like do more Emotion, right?
Doomorp's broken. I have bought a nice little T2 power spike one support build. It's nice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
I believe we have another question, maybe for Mike, or about Mike, or around Mike. Why is there a washed pro on the dev insight? This is from FineOK.
Well, originally they tried to get Alec in here.
They said he's too washed.
He is too popular. Like, you are too.
Nobody would know who he is, right?
Like, no, he's too popular. He's got too much going on. We couldn't get room for him. So,
Right. Understood. There was a question earlier up in chat. Any potential issues anticipated with high poke mages in the mid lane with nerfs to sustain? Is that something you guys as devs have thought about with the high poke potential?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, because a lot of the poke, at least in the current meta in 10.2, is a lot of that proc damage, right? So we've already touched Tablet in previous nerfs, and now we're touching Divine Ruin. We got Soul Gem with a little bit of shift as well. So those are kind of the number one offenders, I would say, for that like poke damage idea. And then of course, if we're ignoring the mages, we got Bluestone as well. That's on the table. That got a couple of nerfs beyond that as well. So that poke playstyle will still definitely be valid. It's just going to be your composition is not going to be as focused on let's run away and heal and then come back. We want you to keep fighting while you're healing.
Yeah, and one thing to note that, I mean, there were so many things that we didn't quite get to in the patch notes.
Yeah.
Is that there were a few things that did break the healing, like, change archetype. So health pots, healing chalices were not affected, and that was a very, very specific change as well. We thought about that. That's just another form of healing. So health pots, healing chalices are still going to have almost more value in this new world than before. Also, HP 5 hasn't changed, so there's some gods there, maybe not so much that are mages, but like, you know, Ares and Jing Chen, for example, who will have more value from their HP 5 because those didn't get nerfs, but just some other things to keep in mind there.
Yeah.
There's another good one here, and now I've scrolled past it. Chat, you're talking too fast. I'll summarize. It was essentially with all of the healing changes, you said, what, like 70 gods, something like that got affected. What was the process like knowing that many gods were affected and finding the proper changes
for
each of those?
So this is kind of what I alluded to on the show, something that, you know, someone can ask a question on the Div Insight. So here I am kind of like, you know, hitting myself in the face, right? I kind of planned this. So one thing to keep in mind, and I'll try and keep it short, is that we kind of planned out what the kind of what the gods that would use scaling would be at certain points of the game. So what ranks of abilities they'd be affected by, what kind of archetypes those are. So whether you're like a healing mage or whether you're a guardian or whatever you may be, you can see that reflected. And then we made sure to address how much magical power, how much physical power they would have at those points in the game, and factor that in to the nerfs that we did for their healing changes. So that way it wasn't just like a blanket 30% on their per rank healing, but we also took into effect that scaling could absolutely bypass some of the healing numbers and make it's almost like exponential at one point, especially for mages, where you can have some healing numbers in magical power scaling going like above 50 or even 100%. So that way, with items in mind, we then did a nerf. So I think there are a few gods where you'll actually notice that the healing per rank actually increases. Like maybe it starts off a little bit less, but the rank actually increases compared to what it was previously, and that's because those gods probably had a lot of scaling in their abilities. So therefore, a 30% nerf is actually a per rank increase.
Bless you guys. That is
It's a lot of math, but
those are big brain type moves.
Yeah, and then when you got to
When-
Hell and Aphrodite, who also got a per level ranking increase,
It gets to be a lot. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? That's why this was a long time coming, because
Right.
we knew that we wanted to change this eventually, but it took a lot of planning, right? And we finally got to the point where we say, okay, Season of Hope is the time. Let's do it. And here we are with all of our changes. So really excited to see how it impacts the game.
Mike, I promise this is not from Fine OK, but an actual. I've been told an actual question for Mike.
I would prefer to be from Alec, maybe.
For Mike, the new changes. Do you think there'll be any different gods as support?
Hell and Afro are definitely the first two that I would think of. Afro.
Nice.
I've been an Afro fan forever. Like anytime we get like a troll game in the SPL, like seeding's already determined, we have a game to have fun with. I always play Afro. I have since like literally my rookie season. So I've always been a bit of an Afro stan with that. I think her kit just fits really well and support the idea of making a teammate a hyper carry. Her changes definitely lend very well to that, giving your teammate protections and also giving them cooldown reduction and also giving them more damage increase. Those are pretty like good utility things to give a teammate. So that's the one I'm most excited about for sure.
So purely unbiased perspective, and that I'm like question I want to ask: do you think all of those buffs were enough to offset like the dramatic amount of healing that was reduced?
I think most gods got better. Like I think most gods who had healing got, at least from my experience, like at a higher level of play where people recognize, hey, I need anti-heal for this character where I'm already going Ankh. Like Terra, for example, in my opinion, just got significantly better because one of the downsides to her was you would pop your ult and you would instantly get your entire team Ankhed.
Right.
But now without that tick healing, it doesn't apply right away. So you can have some of that be negated. So in my opinion, the utility, I think, is more valuable than the healing, especially out-of-combat healing should be better now, I think.
Nice.
Mike, I'm excited to see what duo lane fun you've got in store for us. I believe we do have another question loaded up. And chat wants to know. I was about to ask this one. Props on you, Billy, for picking the same one. How are these shield reductions going to work with Khepri passive? Do you see any adjustments for the Hug Bug?
I mean, it's always possible that, like Clumsy said, we adjusted so many gods that gods were missed. And that's not necessarily to say that Khepri was missed. We did consider him, and especially with the range of erosion being so small, it's going to be a little bit tough to actually have to sit next to Khepri and, risk getting abducted, right? You don't want that to happen. So those shields also apply pretty infrequently as well. So it's not like erosion is a super crazy counter, because honestly, I don't think many people really played around it super hard towards the middle of the game. The beginning of the game, when everyone's like hanging around Khepri, getting their really big shields, yes, I can see that. But that's one that we thought was affected a little bit less than the others, like our Odins and our Nikes that really pivotally need to play around their shields.
And like we saw, or Odin and Nike did get some pretty decent sized buffs in comparison. And the limiting factor for erosion, which is kind of the archetypal anti-shields or future shield, what I can't even remember what we called it, effect is going to be that 30-foot range. That's very limiting. That's not for context, because it's not always easy to tell. 55 feet is the standard range basic attack. So we're talking about just about half that you need to be within that range to affect Khepri.
Right. Remember, chat, keep your questions rolling through. Production is sifting through those, and they'll pop some up for us. Mike, I am curious. Do you want a moment to talk about Terra? I know that chat during the update show had some thoughts and was convinced that Terra was not better. But do you think Terra is going to be in a good spot?
To be direct, I don't think anyone knows why. I don't think anyone in the chat knows what they're talking about. Like,
that's what I'm talking about.
Coming out with fire.
All right.
Let them know.
I think people just lean really heavily to like the confirmation bias of numbers on your screen, right? So like, if I'm Terra and I ult my teammate and I heal I hear or see a bunch of ticks of 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 from healing, you can visually see a person live at low HP and be like, wow, my healing was the difference. I've had the same discussion with like Shell, for example. You shell somebody and you're like, oh wow, that saved them. But the actual effect of reducing more damage, like 5% extra damage mitigation, will often outvalue that healing, especially when you have Ankh, Divine Ruin, Brawlers, all that type of thing. So it'll just be better. Like the additional utility in kits, I think, is what's valuable. For example, I think Set, like, he heals a lot in a 1v1 with his ult, but in a team fight, he's not getting any healing off anyways. He's being anti-healed like crazy. Extra movement speed, extra damage mitigation, those effects will outperform the healing in almost every case. In my opinion, Guan Yu, I think, is another good example. Like, having a cooldown reduction effect for your teammate, it's going to be really hard to tell, like, oh, that person died because I got my mage ability up 1 second earlier from my Guan Yu, like that sort of thing. Like, you're not going to think about that intuitively, but I think the gameplay feel will be noticeable.
Yeah, when we were going through playtests, we had the same question of whether some of these things are going to be as effective. There's questions like we just keep Guan Yu's cooldown reduction to just the 2 seconds that matches Guan Yu. We definitely understood that was going to be too strong, but even for the 1 second, there was a moment in a playtest where I think I was a mage and the Guan Yu next to me healed me, and that got me my cooldown to burst down Pyromancer and finish it off before the enemy actually could come and steal it. And that 1 second literally made the difference between us securing the Pyromancer.
Yeah.
And I was like, sweet, that's pretty
That
awesome.
reflects on general balance as well, though. Is one of the things that we like to say is that, cooldowns for core abilities are insanely huge buffs when we actually do them.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's because, again, that 1 second can actually make that big of a difference in those kind of situations. And they happen more than you might think that they do. So, again, it's kind of that perception versus reality of, I don't really see my cooldown is up 1 second faster, but that actually was a humongous help that it was up 1 second faster.
And just for the quick pitch there, that's why Abyssal Stone's like, actually not too bad. It's just an effect that you don't really get to see very easily.
How about building that item? We have another one. Another question started to get queued up here. And they want to know, are there any plans to adjust the War Flag starter tree any further, given the current predisposition by the majority of two other support starters? What do you think about War Flag?
So we've done several changes towards the War Flag tree, including the recent ones with like getting the GP5 kind of clause as well, and Spartan Flag, and even adding that to the previous. There were a lot of thoughts on kind of just the ideas between starter items, and the original idea when starter items came out was just kind of a varied amount of different play styles, where whether they didn't always even need to be Conquest viable. That almost saying that out loud sounds scary, right? It's like everything needs to be Conquest viable. That's not necessarily true. Although obviously, as the months go on, as patches go on, players like to see certain things be Conquest viable. Whether Anubis is going to be with his new AA1 changes, who knows? But it's cool to see all these different items be leveraged at the higher levels of play. So with that in mind, we've started adding the things in, especially for supports. The gold gain clauses are some of the most important things to have for those to be viable. So long story short is we want to see how these changes, Flex, War Flag, Spartan Flag, they've gotten a lot of changes throughout the last year or so. If they're not enough, then maybe we do some more dramatic changes. That's definitely not out of the question.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I do think, though, that War Flag is more viable than it ever has been in modes that are perhaps not even Conquest, but in Conquest as well, it's better than it's been ever, basically.
You building War Flag, Mike?
Well, I was going to mention, I just think it's meta dependent. Sure. Like, I think there's been a lot of discussion about how good mages are and how valuable those items and those characters are. People have had a lot of discussion over proc builds and soul gem and tablet and all this stuff. And if you saw a hunter mid meta, if you saw a double hunter meta, which almost happens every year, you'd see people value War Flag a lot higher because those are the characters that you're buffing. If I'm not buffing those characters, I don't care about the attack speed.
Well, I know one of the big changes in 10.3, and when I'll call it baby viral in the Smite community was Anubis and him being able to move around.
Can you believe it?
Wow, channeling is one now. Everyone, how do you feel about the Goobus change? Will he be viable? Mike, from a pro standpoint, do you think little extra mobility on the Anubis makes it viable?
Can I say the thing that I had found? Am I allowed to?
Well, that's fixed. So it will not be in the live patch.
So I can say it. Or no?
I don't know what it is, so I don't know how to steer you on this. Let's say it's not a thing. Without the thing that you're thinking of, do you think he's viable?
Okay, yeah, I won't think of it.
What thing,
Yeah.
If that thing doesn't exist.
Good luck, have fun. Be safe.
I don't know. I think Anubis is a really cool character. I mean, he's literally the highest damage character in the game, right? I think even still after years and years of new gods, new items, all of that, he is really, really cool. I think you'll see people experiment with him. I think at pro play, it's hard to predict. Like, these people are idiots. Like, they're too afraid to play OP characters. Like, Afro has been broken for years. Nobody plays her.
Pro players.
Everyone
not named Mike.
Well, no, I'm dumb too.
I was trying to give you a little bit of leeway.
No. None of us know what we're doing. So that's the fun part of playing new patches is, learning and experimenting and figuring it out. I think Anubis will be really cool. I think I'm on board the whole jungle train thing with him. I could see that.
Slowly walking towards
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think to also kind of go with this question, I love the idea of giving older gods new ways to interact with their kit. Because these gods, I mean, Anubis was an ancient one, you might even say, because he's so old, right? So we want to make sure that old gods. An old dog, you might say, can learn new tricks. And certainly Anubis has. So I just generally love the idea of giving older gods ways to compete with the power creep, right, of newer gods. And that, I wouldn't even call like newer gods power creep, right? It's just
it's more about like an interest creep. Like it's just like these older gods are a little bit simpler, and that's not a bad thing at all.
Gotta have 'em.
Sometimes people just want new things to play around with. So
Yeah.
it's almost more valuable addressing some of these older gods and giving them something new and interesting to play with, so that's almost on par with even releasing a new god or a rework, right? It's like, oh, this toy that I didn't get to play with, well, I can play with it now.
Yeah, exactly. For those people that love those gods, like I'm thinking Thor, I'm thinking Agni, Athena, Zeus.
I was thinking exactly.
If you're a main of any of those characters and you see that happen, you go, oh my god, I want to play Smite even more than before now because my character got this fun new thing that I can try and do. So that's generally our prerogative when it comes to those things, is let's try and give as many creative solutions to give players that excitement for as many of those characters that we can give a little refresh, you might even say.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about Anubis because to your point about the simple characters, I mean, you know, playing so much ranked with me, I need simple, right? I need to root someone and damage them, and then if it's that easy,
perfect.
I can do it, you know? And
that's
so
why you're a disco main.
That's why I'm a disco main. I appreciate some of the simplicity. I believe we have another question rowing up here soon. Yes, we do. Do the changes to back harpies justify a significant increase in pressure out of support picks? What do you think, Mike?
I mean, pressure is always. I mean, we're playing a MOBA, right? So pressure is always good. Pressure is always valuable.
The Jazzberry Jam way.
I don't think it's necessarily correlated that way. I don't think back harpies. The catch-up mechanic, I think, feels really good when you are in a dire situation. Like if I've played a scrim and we are down, 5K plus gold, you definitely do notice it. But it's almost a weird thing where I don't feel like the game. I'm not like, oh, if I don't get these chests, that the game is like over for me or anything. It doesn't. It feels like a nice little added kick, but it doesn't feel like worth playing the entire game around. You will see people play around it because it's just an incremental, buff or adjustment to a comeback mechanic. So I think it's pretty cool. I don't know that it's hard to predict picks because at the same time you have so many characters get buffed where you may just value the late game of these characters more. Like if you think healers are really broken late game, I'm not going to care about the chests as much, sort of thing.
Yeah, and a tangential question that I have for you, Mike, is also just, this was one kind of explicit way that we designed something on the map that's like purely a comeback mechanic. Sure, you can invade and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on just, kind of how far you can go with comeback mechanics? Like, did it put you off at all, or were you just like, this is just something new that we can play around with, or was that not even a factor?
I would say that's actually the first thing that I really look at with patches like this are any core game mechanics. So gold income, experience, like one of the changes to make it so that you don't receive experience if you kill someone more than 4 levels below your level. Like that's something where I feel like a lot of people will skim over that in the patch notes, but from a pro point of view, I'm like, oh, that directly affects support, right? Support's normally the only person who's that far behind. So now my brain, of course, I'm instantly thinking to, well, if I purposely put myself that far behind, if I purposely like invade, I purposely just funnel all the farm into my teammates, is that a detriment to the enemy team where killing me is essentially worth nothing and then I become this big like decoy, that sort of thing?
Sure.
Those type of things, it just takes time to figure out. I would say, when I say dangerous changes, I don't mean like bad dangerous. I just mean like they could potentially be so game changing that kind of like boots. Like we don't understand the effect of boots changes until years after.
Right.
And that's kind of how I see those core mechanics.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something, especially with the bigger updates, watching, especially streams and stuff, when PTS comes out and people can stream it, watching pros theorycraft is always just so cool, and figuring out that process is a lot of fun. We're right around the corner soon to some actual SPL matches and stuff, and so we'll get
exciting.
Some new information. Next question, short and sweet. Why wasn't Mail of Renewal changed?
That 2. Is that number 2? Or was there?
Mail of Renewal.
It was changed at the start of the year.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, they were healing increase on it?
There's the passive where you get hit by enough stuff and it bursts.
Oh, sure, right, of course.
Yeah, that number was adjusted at the start of the season. I don't know if that's why.
No,
so,
that probably is number 2.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like the other. Okay, no.
And remember, any of these things that we see that become outliers, whether that's in purchase rate, win rate, any of those things, we will be dealing with them, whether that's in a future patch or beyond. So
lots of monitoring going on.
You caught me.
Lots of monitoring going on.
Yeah,
all right, on to the next question we've got from chat. They want to know much reading. I've been on a reading kick recently, so this is good for me.
Nice.
Since a lot of supports don't grab the green buff in some games, any thoughts on making it a free-for-all buff like the ones in the side lanes?
Mike, what are your thoughts on that?
That directly nerfs me. No.
Do you grab your green buff?
Yeah, you definitely should. It's really noticeable. I'm surprised people wouldn't buy it.
There's also a longer
or
time
pick
for it
up
to be on the
again.
ground now for most buffs,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
true.
You're not missing it as often, one might
Yeah,
think.
I think people should. If they're not picking it up, they didn't read it. Maybe, I don't know. Like it.
Sure.
I'll see. I think one of the most common comments I get about support is feeling like you go all the time, or you just don't have enough sustain, or it's hard for you to tank damage from people poking you just running around the map. And green buff is the answer to that, right? So.
Do you find at any point in the game, at least specifically early to mid game, that other classes are picking it up instead?
I've always been it's a support buff until late game. I think it should be a soul laner buff.
Right.
Because they'll have more protections than me normally, so they benefit more from the health on it and all that.
Are you guys splitting up? I definitely, if this is any strats related things, but I don't think so. Like, are you guys splitting up who gets more speed buffs or anything like that? Because now there's just more buffs in the.
I think it's just my only opinion on speed buff is I think it's wrong for the jungler to take both of them.
Right. No, exactly. That's what I was
in
thinking.
the late game, it's got to be inefficient. So it could depend on the character. Maybe a mage like the Morrigan who wants to flank, you'd rather her have the second speed buff. Maybe if your supporter or soul laner is the engager, you'll give it to them. Say if it's like an Artemis or something where mobility is a big downside for them, you might give it to the Artemis to help them out a little bit. It's just a game by game thing. But definitely junglers hogging both of them is a big slap on the wrist. That's a no.
Sure.
Well, the green buff is in the jungle. We can all agree on that, right?
I'm agreeing.
Let's talk about jungle starts. Someone in chat has a question surrounding jungle starts. Are there any plans to adjust the jungle start where you drag the 3 buffs
Oh, it is adjusted.
to the harpies?
Okay, we
kind of glossed over this a little bit.
I don't think we talked about it at all, but yes.
Yeah, when AJ was on, we talked about how the XP is adjusted, right? So if you are doing that same exact start from the 10-1 and 10-2 meta, dragging everything together, you're not hitting level 2.
Right.
So you're going to go to lane level 1. So you have the option of, am I going to show up to lane a little bit later because I'm still sticking with this triple split, or am I going to just hit it when I get to lane because I'm now trying a double split, or I'm doing it by myself, or I'm dragging it to somewhere else. There's a lot of more options now that the triple split is not necessarily the most efficient way. But yeah, on the patch notes, we did briefly mention it, but
I'm scared of change. I don't know what that means for me now.
Well, we'll have to figure it out, Dave. We're running it down in range.
Oh, no.
I don't think I've seen anyone do the old start and had me think
The
it's
season
good.
1 start?
Well, just no, like I guess season,
I
season 1 of your
the old
turn.
start is like it's only been a month and a half.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I thought there was a lot people could have done before, but I think when you're coordinating a ranked game, it's really hard to type out a plan.
100%.
So people are always going
I
to
feel
default to
absolutely
doing.
that way.
Yeah, people are always going to default to the same thing. I think the only start that I believe, well, not the only start, but the one that I think most comfortably gets people to level 2 is if the jungler and soul laner do speed, back harpies, and blue. They'll hit level 2, and then you can. But then that becomes complicated. Like, okay, does the mid laner solo red? Do they drag the red over to the dual lane side of the map? Like, there's a lot of interesting things that you can do. You can funnel more farm into a specific role. Like, you could leave more of your jungle up for the jungler, and if you're dual lane, just take green and purple and go to lane, that type of thing.
I mean, pressure and getting to lane is always going to be important. So that if you're not hitting level 2 regardless, or in most of these scenarios, then at least you get some pressure.
Well, there's some characters like, Ishtar or Izanami or Sylvanas. It doesn't matter what level I am. If I physically get there first, I'm going to win the lane.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're just going to win the lane.
Is that just for the solo side of the map? Or their start adjustments to XP and stuff on. Yeah. So, because I guess the back harpies got
both back
affected,
harpies
right?
are reduced and blue is increased, I believe, right?
Sounds right.
So yeah, I think that's the only reason like the jungler and soul laner can offset it. Like, I think I did the math, and at level 1 it was 5 less XP, and the 5 less XP when you split that among 3 people, they don't hit level 2. But when you split it among 2 people, they still hit level 2. Right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe we have another question rolling through. This one from Supersonic Blur, if I remember correctly. With all the changes to healing items, would this make Stone of Gaia find a more comfortable spot in support builds. What do we think about Gaia in support?
I guess Gaia is always like a niche item, right? It kind of depends on how many knockups you're against as to how effective it truly is, or, you know, even against Yamoja, it's pretty good, or as Yamoja. Both of those options are pretty good, but I don't know how I feel about it just on its own, like, irregardless of matchup.
My opinion is no, personally. I just think Mail of Renewal is a better version of that item. Like, I just get better healing and healing that affects my teammates. I think, for me, Gaia is more of a soul lane item. If you need sustain in your lane, if you're a character that doesn't have in-kit, healing, lifesteal, that sort of thing, that's where I see it fit more. I don't think it's a very good support item.
Yeah, I remember back when it was like somewhat meta, it was just kind of the counter pick options like King Arthur. It's like, well, I'm probably going to get knocked up, or I can force myself to get knocked up, or it may be, so therefore I'm always getting healing. At least from like a casual perspective.
For sure.
If you zoom all the way out and you look at this big update, what lane do you think is most impacted with all the changes we've talked about, or role? That could be anyone.
I feel like it's a tank role. I think it's either solo or support. Like, well, Solo had relic and item nerfs, I guess, in the way of teleport. That probably changes it. Probably
Teleport,
solo.
block
It has to
damage.
be solo
Yeah.
because
Bluestone.
blue buff is worth more. Their side camp is worth more. Totem is
of
now
Coup,
worth.
aura.
Yeah, Totem
Yep.
of Coup is now worth more to your teammates because you don't have to be in the tower to get the initial buff. Your starter items got changed, and then there's a bunch of characters like, historically, in my opinion, at least at a top level play sort of thing, like Chang'e has been most consistently, like, if she is good, it's in solo lane sort of thing, or, you know, Aphrodite has had metas where she is a solo laner before mage, that sort of dynamic. So I think a lot of these characters that got changed, it makes me think more that direction.
Yeah, and a bullet point on that as well is I remember when going through a lot of these healing gods, warriors, at least specifically, you know, due to their nature of being in solo lane, at least for Conquest, they tend to have more regenerative effects. Not all of them, but a very good amount of warriors have some way of sustaining themselves. So therefore, there are also just a lot more bullet points on those gods. Like, there's going to be a shake-up where there's just a lot less health in that lane.
Right. That's also the teleport change is a big Dave nerf because
it's a clumsy nerf.
I stink at solo, and I use
same
teleport
thing.
so constantly.
I'm like, I literally will get persistent teleport by like level 5 just so that I can not.
Hey, well,
I can just like stay in lane.
To your credit, tier 3s haven't changed.
Exactly.
So
I'm getting persistent.
If you are really worried about it, upgrade that to tier 3. It's gonna be the exact same.
Just play Athena. Have your jungler walk the lane. That's your TP.
Yeah,
right,
perfect.
right.
Well, I mean, have your jungler walk to lane. They don't
play Chernobog.
Surely they're gonna kill your blue buff.
Oh. Exactly.
Yeah,
You're
look,
right.
my blue's getting invaded constantly on the ranked grind when I get auto-filled into solo.
You're the jungler here?
Yes. Well, with Dave.
Pointing fingers.
Look. Unless I'm playing Ao Kuang, I don't go to solo.
But
and that's on me, right? That's on me.
No, but there's a point where I have given up so much pressure, it's just not even worth Lermy's time. You know what I mean? And that's an auto-fill.
Well, that's the question now. With the changes, the shutdown bonuses.
That's right.
It's possible.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's
That's actually. Healing aside, that is actually the biggest change in the patch, in my opinion, and along with the HUD being able.
I was just gonna say that. Now you can see the bounty.
Yeah, being able to actually see the bounty is so cool. Like you're no longer just like huffing copium when you're like when you're like, oh, we're behind. All we have to do is kill this guy. You like get to visually
literally
see. You're
be
like,
like,
oh,
that's
we
really
that's the dude. We're after.
We need to chase them down.
Yeah.
We can touch on that a little bit more in a minute. I believe chat had some more thoughts for us here in our. I was gonna say round table, but we're at a square table. Now that they've been out for a bit, what are the devs' opinions on how well the tower bastions are performing?
I think they're so much fun, personally. I've had a lot of fun just running it down a lane, trying to kill those bastions. That's me, personally. I really enjoy the mechanic. I think it's a lot of fun.
Lermy's literally that support. Like, if she goes support, she'll go to every single lane and make sure those bastions are gone. Like, both laners will have backed, and she's just there milling the bastions.
That is true. I will int for the bastions in
Every
playtest, no matter what role I am, really, unless it's, like, actually a laner. Support, jungle, doesn't matter. I'm rolling up, killing the bastions. I say, you know, I've done all my camps. I'm going to go kill your bastions, Mr. Soul Laner. So... sure, I could be playing around and invading, but or sure, I could be doing literally anything else. But I see those bastions, and I got the horse blinders on, and I'm killing them.
I do like that it feels, especially in duo where I play most of the time. It feels like if I just have constant pressure, I have something else to like work towards
exactly.
now.
And
Instead of
that
just sitting at their tower line, I can like do something
Right, and
with
if
my
the
time.
juggle's
You know what I
down or
mean?
whatever it may be.
Right.
That was absolutely the goal for the Bastions. And the other thing that I like is kind of just the nuanced plays that you can make as well. Like they are body blocking and ability blocking kind of aspects, right? If you're getting hit as a hunter in the duo lane and you just need to survive one, you go behind the Bastion. That is something that you couldn't do before. Or on the flip side, if you're a Zeus or Najai, you can use those to bounce off of, and that's just like new things that you couldn't do before. So it's just kind of exciting.
This is a softball. Does everyone have a favorite skin that's coming out with this update?
Can't say Aphrodite.
It's so tough because Marty's getting his first skin and it's so cool. But I mean, Fenrawr is kind of you can't.
Yeah, but you're biased for the same, I guess same but different reason on Fenrawr, right?
Yes, because I did write that voice pack with the help of a lot of individuals very invested in the culture.
Yeah, do you feel like you were able to tap into Lermy of
I was maybe a little bit too young to really hit that generation on the nail on the head there, but I did get a lot of feedback from Aggro, who sent me his entire 500 song emo playlist.
That you were listening to in your sleep.
That was your homework, right?
That was my homework of researching all that. So I hope there's a lot of really funny references and jokes that everyone gets with that skin,
sure there
because
will
it's very camp, as we were talking about earlier.
And I learned really what that meant for the first time. So this has been a learning day for me. So you like Fenrawr. Clumsy, do you have a favorite skin?
Other than the Aphrodite, of course. There's like the Searcher. He's getting kind of his first kind of foray with skins. I also really like, I think it was Danzaburo?
Oh, yeah, he has a Shadow Spirit.
And I really just like that line of skins.
Yes, I agree.
So just like it on Danzaburo just seems really fun.
I think like Space plus the Shadow Spirit. Those two. Oh, also the Zeus skin is really rad.
The Zeus skin.
The Arcane Wizard. Mike, if you're allowed to say Aphrodite, would you say a tier 5 Aphrodite?
If I'm not allowed to say Aphrodite, I will still say
I think we have we have our card art, so I think there's a reason why.
I mean, look at that.
It is very unique. Actually, you guys were talking about it on the show, and I think it was a really apt point where it felt like just the art style of like the base form 100%. Could have been a skin on its own.
And I didn't say this on the show as well, but I love the card arts and all the details. So we have other Toon skins in here, like the Toon Scylla on the left, the Baron on the right, the Cthulhu on the bottom right. Like it's just awesome seeing the extra like details
I love that.
they didn't
that line of skins as well. Easy insta purchase for you, I imagine.
I think I already had it pre-purchased. What do you think about that? You're right. What do you think about that?
He's loaded up.
Damn.
No, I'm really excited for this Aphrodite skin. It's a new, in the past, Aphrodite mains have caught a little flack, and we're just gonna have to learn to play around the new Aphrodite.
Yeah, we're bowing down to our Aphrodite overlords this patch.
And you know what? When this skin is running at me, I'll
take it in stride.
I'll deal with it. Soon enough, it's gonna be Mike on the other side. When my MMR keeps climbing, I'm gonna be in.
# Dave to Diamond.
Are you guys gonna swap spots?
No, he's gonna be on the other side of the lane of me, and he's gonna be running at me. Is what I mean.
We could swap spots. That'd be fun. I've had a brief history of casting.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. No, I think I'm gonna get to Diamond, and I'm gonna stop. That's gonna be my grind. We'll finish there.
But I thought you were a
5.
certified GM.
Yeah, good man. There's not Grandmaster, good man. Okay, this is an interesting question. Changes to Bluestone and Axe early game. Do you think this affects the relevance of auto attack Death's Toll warriors?
It certainly can, but Death's Toll also got its fair share of changes, right? So I think the upgrade is really going to be very interesting to see if we see more of that on solo laners as well, because Death's Embrace, right? Is that the right one?
Yeah, it's
the red
Embrace.
one? That got the change to the cooldown. Is very good on those characters, I will say, especially if they do a really good job sticking to you, like Bologna can or Amaterasu. Those two characters, I think Erlang Shen is another awesome one that could work with it. That definitely opens up the door to, I think, a little bit more variety in the solo lane.
There's one other. Sylvanas solo?
That's true.
Death's Embrace?
Why do you look at me like I know that? Listen, I'm playing Death Toll Sylvanas in solo.
You're saying you're struggling in solo lane. I'm throwing you a bone.
And you're saying I should play Death Toll Sylvanas?
You play Death Toll Sylvanas. You hit level 15. You have your passive. It gives you more cooldowns. You get Death's Embrace. You get even more cooldowns. You're spamming those little wispy boys all around the place. It's nice.
Yeah, but that requires nuance and finesse.
No. You just...
And timing.
W, hold left click.
well, if I can do that, then I might consider it.
He
It's
does
like
that every
playing a
day.
hunter, but tankier.
That's great because I like playing hunters. No, Lermy would stop duo. If I played Destol, Sylvanas,
No.
and solo.
Next patch? Go ahead.
It's good.
I don't
also-
believe that for a second.
Now you have to.
I don't believe that for a
I
second.
need to see this on stream.
I was talking about it
no
after
way.
scrims with my teammates as well, and they couldn't fully grasp it. So I'll put it out there for
Grasp it, I get it.
I'll put it for more. I actually thought it was last grasp, not last gap. But
Nature's
in any case,
No.
if you just go Fire Blink on Sylvanas, of course, with the Dust Embrace upgrade, you just pull them, and then before they get pulled to you, you're still out of combat, and you just blink behind them, and now they're landing in your fire trail. Then
You
you're
just pull them.
and then you're alting them, and
See,
then you're
now
knocking
you
them
are
out.
getting to nuance and finesse.
I'll help you. It'll work.
We'll work on the
We're
tech.
allowed to. That's against TOS. Like you're.
Coaching is against TOS. In that case, all pro players should be banned.
Well, depending on what your level of help is here, I think. If you're pressing the buttons.
I will not log on your account and press your buttons. I will just encourage.
Big wing. All right, I think production had another question or two for us, so we can move on from my abysmal ranked history. And actually, it's been pretty good, Lermy. We've been on a pretty good.
Yeah, we've
streak.
had a good.
Any gods specifically on your radar that you think might be weaker because of these changes?
That's
Or
actually
too weak,
a good,
maybe?
a
I'm
good
not.
question. I think that a lot of the characters that got adjusted are some that were on a very variant part of the tier list, right? Like for instance, Chalk is one that comes up a lot. Is he good? Is he bad? Nobody really knows. He got adjusted as well here. So I think keeping an eye on characters like that, where it's like they're very variant, might be good in some situations, might be bad. I don't have anything particularly in my mind of a character that, we may have over-nerfed them. I think that a lot of it's just going to have to depend on their specific synergy with the new items, with the new, passives, and again, especially for characters that kind of have that casual versus ranked versus pro feeling as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, the kind of nail on the head for me is just the variance of healing to begin with. There's certain gods who, like Alpoash is one of the best gods in the game, even if people don't want to admit it. In Conquest too, just not at a high MMR.
Broken god.
Yeah, you think so?
I love him.
But I know a lot of people were concerned that the small buffs that he got, or the fact that he didn't get any anti-heal nerfs, which is a buff for him. He's really reliant on that self-healing on his passive, and if that's being nerfed at all, then that's going to kill him. Or Kamazots, right? Like we did a whole bunch of changes to Kamazots, but he has a whole bunch of healing. I don't think I would per se say that like they might be over nerfed or whatever the question might have alluded to, but there's definitely ones where I'm going to keep my eyes on a lot more than some of the other ones, even if it's Thanatos, right? Obviously, so many changes in mind there. He relies a lot on his healing. He's also a very good god too, so maybe it's okay that he drops down a little bit. Maybe we don't want him to drop down too far, kind of thing.
Where do we think Yamoja lands after this update?
This is a tough question.
So
in a mean way? Should I have not asked it? Now I feel bad.
Not necessarily. It's the one that people are definitely thinking about. So I mentioned on the patch notes show that Yamoja is kind of in a really odd spot. Thanks to you pros. I think we got
Thanks,
I think in the worlds we actually saw the least amount of Yamoja in picks and bans, which is really really cool. I have no idea how Yamoja is going to work, regardless of these 10.3 changes before SPL, but they're being played at the same time. So I guess that question is kind of irrelevant because you guys are playing, I believe, with the season 2 patch, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. So in this new world, Yamoja is probably a decent chunk worse. I'm going to hope that we don't see her being played nonstop, but
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, exactly.
You think still?
Well,
summarize Yamoja for me.
I don't think at a pro level of play, I don't think you will ever see Yamoja be non-existent in her current form. I just think she has so many things she can do and so many items she can use, and I do think this patch is really tricky. Like, there's always been a discussion of, is healing worth it because they just buy Ankh for me and then it's worse, or like, is Yamoja really that good because they just buy Phantom Shell? But the actual necessity to force those things is a really big deal. Her shielding got a buff. Yes, there is a new item that addresses shielding, and some other things also interact with that in the game. But if you are forcing people to feel like I need an anti-shielding item, there are some characters that really have a core build that they need to function as like high DPS output or whatever else. So I guess long story short, I don't think that character is ever horrible. I would say she was the first one off the top of my head. I'm like, oh, maybe she got nerfed. Like Terra, for example, got utility back that Yemoja didn't really. Or, you know, Horus got cooldown, like Guan got cooldown reduction for teammates, all that sort of stuff. Yemoja doesn't have any of that, but Yemoja's pretty broken with a lot of the items.
She doesn't need any of the extra.
Yeah, like Lotus Sickle is really good with her. She has access to like Breastplate of Regrowth if you want to have fun is more viable for support than it was before. Horn Shard is a huge deal on her. Like that item is just massive for her. So it really depends. I don't think you will have an issue with Yemoja keeping her teammates alive constantly with her shielding anymore, especially if you do buy Erosion. I think that's really good. I think it'll be a different style of Yemoja where you play the character more almost for damage.
Yep.
Okay.
Final thoughts on Yemoja. Basic water attack replaced with Capri Sun, Roarin' Waters. That's a
Can we get that licensing?
Yeah, probably not. That's a big buff, though.
Yeah, someone call Trevor.
Yeah, we can try.
That's from Dandy, by the way. All right, we got another one queued up here for us, and we can move right along with some more thoughts here on 10.3. Now that we have the HUD updated, is there any plan to update the client UI in the near future? I think near carrying a lot of weight there.
Near future.
Oh, these changes get planned years in advance. Years.
I can't recall when we made like a small blog post, whatever it was, that we're going to be looking and addressing in the HUD. I think it was like not even last year, it was before that, whatever.
I want to say it was at least 2 years ago.
This amount of work, and I think AJ talked about it before, was a huge amount. Like this was not a small deal. Especially with how older game is, like we want to make sure that we do this right, which is why, you know, every time we say we're pushing things, it's not necessarily because we want to just, you know, not address it now. It's because we need the time to do it correctly. For a client update, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that that's out of the question, but if we're going to want to do it, we're going to want to do it correctly. So near future, no, but you know, it's not impossible.
Yeah, that's a massive overhaul. All the menus and interactivity and stuff.
Absolutely.
There.
It's a lot. There's a lot of different moving parts.
You'd be surprised by just how many screens exist in this My Client.
And
there's so many.
I think we almost felt that same way with the in-game HUD. Yeah. Just like, well, you know, whether it's the T screen, the Y screen, the K screen, the way these all interact
and
with each other.
It's not even just that. It's like the individual like item like store pieces, whether it's like the middle part with the various like grid layouts or list layouts, and you have the right side, and how do we include glyphs in it? How do we make sure it's got on console
and controller navigation and everything is working correctly? That's a
There's so many
deal,
questions to think about there.
I still need a don't ban Mercury alert.
Okay, so for the context in this question, or I guess comment here from Dave, is that I have really wanted to play Mercury in our ranked games.
The Mercury, that's right.
The Mercury, yes.
Oh no.
Anyway, so we're loading up, and of course the way that the bans worked in ranked is that everyone gets one ban, right? So I will say, Dave, I'm jungle, and then he understands I'm not supposed to ban Mercury because there was a game where Merc was open, and Dave banned it.
It sure was.
And I was very sad.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's like a transcendent level of talent that she's got on Mercury too. Like
well, that's too then.
No.
I wouldn't. Yeah, maybe not go to, but
so I'm not good at Mercury, right? But I have ever gotten the I've ever gotten the game Diamond right, and he out of all my characters in the bottom 10 worshippers of all of my gods in the game, and so Mercury's really good right now, so I'm like, this is my chance to learn how to play Mercury.
Okay.
Yeah, but context is important. Bottom 10 worshippers.
Yes.
To you is
still
over 1,000.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Mike, if there was just like if you're just playing one game of ranked, like today, whatever it may be, and you just really freaking want to win, what's the god that you're locking?
Aphrodite.
Even with live patch.
Live patch would be Baron, I guess. But that's because I have fun with him.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm a for fun player.
Having fun is most important.
Yeah.
Winning is fun, but you can have fun while losing too. Is that true, Mike?
You can also not have fun while winning. I've had
very true.
I've had a lot of wins with very limited fun.
Yeah, where you get the win and you're like, thank God it's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm free.
100%.
Yeah, get me out. All right. I think we got another one queued up here from production. We can move on from Dave accidentally banning out Lermy and her picks. Do you think invades will be more valuable with increased respawns? We've talked a little bit about this and starts and invading the chesters, and we'll keep it at chesters. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say chesters, or do you need the...
I'm fine to play along.
Got it.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm referencing, even though it's not
right. Yeah.
what you know it as.
Yes.
invades more valuable with increased respawns? I guess talking about the back harpies, what do we think about support and jungle invades?
I think it's biggest for the junglers, right? Like I think there was at least from my perspective of how the community felt, the sentiment of junglers just gank 24/7 and they don't lose anything for camping a lane, I think was growing to be more irritable to players who just feel like their junglers solo winning them rank games. I think having a counterbalance to that of if one jungler goes to gank and the other jungler gets to go invade their back harpies and actually take the farm away from them, then living to that gank is a huge deal, whereas before it was like, okay, big whoop, you lived, we didn't get anything off it sort of thing. So I think in a counter jungling perspective, it means a lot more. In terms of like grouped invading, again, I don't think there's so many more comeback mechanics that you kind of touched on, like the bounty being more apparent, the shutdown bonuses being different, like all of these other things kind of make it where I don't think the back harpy invades are the end all be all. I just think it's a nice like map play, like trading the map thing.
Yeah, the comeback gold and shutdown gold and all that is going to be an interesting change. All right, I think we have one or two more questions here from chat, and we can wrap up here in a bit more time. That makes it seem like we're going for another hour. Most important question ever: can we get more dev insights? Because VER, no VVX.
I'd love to do more. I'm down.
Yeah, these are fun.
Yeah, I think like Dandy said, this was not just because it was a seasonal update, but because it's kind of just a new way of us trying different patch notes formats. This one was theoretically going to be several hours longer,
right.
But we managed to.
It was still 2 hours, right?
Like, yeah, exactly. If you guys between the patch notes format, between like the skin videos, between these dev insights, if you guys are liking this, then let us know. And I think the plans are to continue doing it the way we have today.
Do you guys have any kind of final thoughts on the update? I mean, we can.
Can I comment on one more thing made in chat?
Yeah, please do.
There's a comment about making more like possible to like create a rainbow map. There's actually, I don't know if you guys showed it. Did you show the map?
Yeah.
In the patch
Yeah.
notes? Oh yeah,
There is a rainbow.
solo lane rainbow. It's in solo lane, right? Or is it in dual lane? I don't know. There's a rainbow somewhere, but it looks really, really cool. The whole map just looks really nice. So
yeah, I mean the seasonal updates and giving us a chance to like refresh the Conquest maps to theme it is a big component of this year. And yeah, I mean some of the artwork that we have planned out is really, really exciting.
I can't wait for those visual updates as well.
oh, there it is.
We can
It's
see it.
It's duo side. Okay.
Nice.
That's the side I like to be on. But I
In fact, I'm pretty sure I remember hearing AJ in like after playtest
Is it a
goes,
double rainbow?
I think someone said it kind of looks like it was, but I remember him going like, let's amp that up. Like this isn't enough. I want more.
That's right.
More rainbow.
And I mean, I think it stands out in a beautiful way. I absolutely big shout outs to the environmental art team. They're
crazy.
really killing it. They're going through constant changes, and they have to deal with us on the design team. Like, hey, we want this fixed. We want this fixed.
Okay, that's a wallpaper. That's a wallpaper,
yeah,
fellas.
I
Someone
mean,
take a screenshot of that.
They're really being extremely ambitious with what they can do, and it shows.
What is that on top of the mountain? Is that Mount
Olympus.
Olympus? Is that what that is? Every once in a while, I know what I'm talking about. It's not super often.
Is there a pot of gold up there, you think?
Maybe. I would hope so,
There's
right?
that
I mean,
guy-
that's how they fund their.
And that guy's dabbing in dual lane as well. He's hitting a mean dab right there.
I'm not gonna say that wasn't purposeful, but
Right.
I definitely think that was a thought.
We're on the map right now. Do you guys have any specific map things that you want to take a peek at while we're strolling around? I mean, I just like the general art vibe. I was talking to Ajax when you two were still doing the show. I don't know why I'm a big sucker for these little plants around the map right here. There's something about
The new ones?
yeah, the
They're like
contrast
bioluminescent.
between
Nice.
the
Yeah.
dark and the kind of really light colored plants that
Oh, there's the Chesters.
No.
oh, look at that. This team is so far behind in gold.
Wait, pop those suckers. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
That is satisfying.
They've been handled.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's just good. And this is going to be you exactly. You're going to be on Aphrodite and you're going to be
Yeah.
stealing the chests.
My build would be a little bit different, but,
Respect.
take what you can get.
You're not going damage Afro support?
Oh, I'll go a little bit of damage.
Told you I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you gotta
do
go a little bit.
Can we head over to Soul real quick? Because there is a nice little visual update there where they have these like vines that twist over the lane as well, which is a really
Oh, I
cool
saw was a
look.
giant stack of fire in the background. What was that? Over the fire giant pit? We're about to see it right around the corner to the right, I think, like over beyond solo lane.
They're little lanterns and stuff.
Yeah, look at that guy. Is there a
Yeah.
volcano in the
There is
back
a
over
volcano.
there?
That's where the fire giant comes from. It comes out of the volcano.
Have I never noticed that? Has that been in since the start of season 10?
Yeah.
Talking about how we don't like solo lane, right?
Yeah, right. I don't play solo hardly ever.
When you play solo lane, when it gets to like 9 minutes, just stare over there.
Is that true?
Have you not seen the fire giant come out of his volcano?
No.
Oh, dude,
It's really cool.
I've only played solo like 3
It's
times.
very cool.
Yeah,
And by 10 minutes, I'm usually back beneath my tier 2. So, yeah, give me a break on this. Sorry, Laramie, did we miss what you
Yeah,
did you
no,
want to
just
say?
look
again?
into the lane or
Yeah,
right above
if
us.
you look straight up, if you direct your attention to the upward direction, there's some nice little archways there.
No, but we want to look at the.
I'm not sure how well they can hear us over there.
No,
that's
we
okay.
got it. We got
But
it.
they were there. They were there in lane.
There's some viney things and.
Oh, there you go.
Those guys.
Oh,
Oh,
archway.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it feels much more cozy now.
Mm-hmm.
It's
know?
like nice ambient lighting there, just
Mhm.
the lava lighting up the
Yeah, there
battleground.
we go. Look at that.
Is that a tree branch? What is that?
That's
Looks
you
like a
know,
big,
the hope
yeah.
coming through. It's Eshel
Bendy tree.
Bendy
growing
tree?
some
You
Nice.
say it's
stuff.
hope coming through?
Yeah,
That's very poetic.
Very symbolic.
Yeah, that's
Beautiful.
good.
coming through the
Yeah,
rocks
so
and
the map
magma.
gets updated in 10.3. A ridiculous amount of changes just by nature, whether
Mhm.
big or small, a really big update. So some final thoughts here, everyone, before we wrap up. Mike, I know you shared some initial thoughts on 10.3 at the top of the show. Is Afro just your state of mind now going into 10.3?
I definitely am very excited for a lot of the changes. I think healing has been such a volatile mechanic in Smite where people either love or really hate healing metas, and I think that this change, regardless what you think of it right now, I think it's a much healthier state for the game moving forward where you're not going to see a Hell or an Aphrodite just full heal their entire team in 1 second because they have a full damage build and they have a million power, but you will see, support Afros, support Hells heal their team more than they would have before, so that's up to personal preference, but I think for the future of the game, it's really good.
Excited to see what the supports can get done, especially Lermy, Clumsy, do you guys have some summary here on 10.3?
Yeah, I'm just excited to see what kind of synergies we see with our new items, and overall, I'm excited to hear what the theory crafters have for us after the PTS, which is theoretically coming up sometime soon. So
if not already,
yeah,
no
if
idea.
not already, you guys
no
might be
idea.
watching us instead of playing on PTS right now. But please
I'm
forward
flattered.
us, all, please forward us all of your feedback. We're very excited to hear what you guys have come up with, because that's like my favorite part of our job, honestly, is getting to see what you guys think of it and watching you guys play with it. So.
Yeah, and so for me, as a follow-up to what Lermy was saying, there is a large amount of changes that are happening. And like we said for Season 1 and Season 2, and what we're going to say for the rest of the season is like, not everything's going to be perfect and fairly and evenly and completely competitively balanced, but I think that's part of the fun, is we're all going to be finding out together where this meta kind of shakes up. And I don't even know if we can say between Season 1 and Season 2 whether like even the pro players or the rank scene kind of figured things out yet.
Never can that much time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the goal is we want to keep things fresh, we want to keep things lively. We're trying to hit a lot of fun gameplay beats, and we'll be doing that over the course of several patches over the course of the year. And as a side question as well, like, I hope that you guys have been enjoying the large amounts of change that we've been doing in these seasons. And obviously, the Season 1 to Season 2 are pretty close together. Season 2, Season 3, and Season 3 to Season 4 may not have the same cadence. So let us know if you want to see more changes than what we've done already, less, or whether we've hit a good spot.
Yeah, I'm excited. Year 10 of Smite. It's been a lot of fun so far. Season of Hope should be really exciting. Get out there, Theory Craft. Let me know what I should be doing, because that's how I know like what to do in game. Pro Smite just around the corner as well, and plenty to look forward to. So thanks everyone for tuning in, asking some questions. That's been Mike. That's Lermy. That's Clumsy. I'm Dolson. This has been the Dev Insight Show for 10.3, the Season of Hope update. Can't wait to see you guys on the battleground. We'll see you soon.